Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pro Show with Colin and Jacob. That's Jacob.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Colin.
He's Colin.
And today, this episode, we will be reviewing Battle for Zendikar from a limited perspective, and we'll be looking at all the multicolored cards, all the colorless cards, and all the lands.
So this is the big, powerful gold cards, the payoffs. And these are the gigantic eldrazi that everybody is looking forward to.
Yes, and if you've been following our series in the order we recorded it, this will be the last video, so it's been a real pleasure doing these for you, and I hope you've enjoyed them. And let's do it big with Battle for Zendikar, Gold, Colorless, and Lands!
Let's start with the gold cards, because those are my favorite ones to play.
Yep, here we are, gold cards. Get ready, we're doing these alphabetically. Follow along if you'd like. I guess I should mention that we've been using the wizards.com website to find these alphabetically, so that would be a really good place for you to do it as well.
Check out their card image gallery. It has all the cards.
All the images of the cards.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Our first card is Angelic Captain. Costs 3 colorless, a red, and a white for a total of 5. This is a 4/3 creature. It is an angel ally. And it is rare. It has flying, and whenever Angelic Captain attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each other attacking ally. This is your ally finisher.
Yeah, this is 4/3 flying for 5 is an alright rate. It's going to be an aggressive card. And this attacks for 5/4. It's amazing. If it attacks for 6/5, then wow, you have it made. Has evasion, so it's going to be hard for your opponent to block. You're going to be red-white, so you're going to be wide. This is, exactly what I want to be finishing the game with.
Yes. If you're allies and you're red-white and you open this pack 2 or 3, you are feeling so good. If you're not an allies, it's okay to pass this. You won't feel that bad because it's a gold card and it's ally-specific. And if you're not an allies, it's just not that good.
Yeah, hard to judge this. Hard to take this card on pack 1, pick 1 because it is a gold card.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't fit within with all the red or white archetypes.
And it only fits in. Yeah, it only fits in with the red-white allies. It is a bummer to open this pack 1.
It is such a bomb in its archetype though that I would. It depends on how good the rest of the pack is. Obviously, I would take Stasis Snare over this.
Mm-hmm.
But if the rest of the commons aren't top tier, then I'd go for it.
Yeah, because there are plenty of ally cards. And you know what? Even if you end up in more colors than just red and white, and you're just splashing, white for this card, or just splashing red for this card, it's still going to do a lot of work for you. It's a top pick if you don't know what you're doing yet, and you think you might want to go allies, and it's a top pick if you're already in allies. It is, I'm going to say, pretty much unplayable in a non-red-white ally deck. Well, non-ally deck, red-white plus other colors. 5 for a 4/3 flying isn't terrible, but I don't know how you're getting that red and white mana if you're not playing allies already.
So actually being able to cast this card, having both red and white mana is really the most important thing because, 4 power in the air is exactly what's costed for 5 mana. When you have an evasion creature like this, their toughness is less relevant. Still relevant, of course, but less relevant. And 4 power in the air is what you want to be paying 5 mana for.
Yep.
So,
especially flying power. Woo!
So even if you have 0 other allies in your deck, this card is actually playable.
Yep.
It's not going to be the absolute bomb it is if you have a couple other allies on the battlefield, but it's still going to be fine.
Yep. This will end the game, and it'll end the game because you won it. So good.
All right.
Next card, we've got Bring to Light. This card costs 3 colorless, a green, and a blue for a total of 5. It is a sorcery. It is rare, and it's got Converge. Converge is a mechanic that factors in the colors of mana used to play it. In this case, you search your library for a creature, an instant, or a sorcery card, so one of those, with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of colors of mana spent to cast Bring to Light. So 5 maximum, probably 3, maybe 4, but very rarely 5. You search your library for that creature instant sorcery. It costs that or less. You exile that card, shuffle your library, then you can cast that card without paying its mana cost. The first thing that jumps out to me before we actually analyze this card is I just think of the instant speed processing effects and just thinking how brutal that would be if you bring to light a card and you put it into exile and you're going to cast it and then they just process it into your graveyard.
I don't think they can do that because this is all part of just the card's resolution. They can't respond to part of the card resolving. There's only one trigger that goes on the stack.
Okay, sure. Well, if that doesn't work. Anyway, this card is strong. It's really strong. Even if you're paying 3, you're tutoring the 3-drop or less you need onto the battlefield.
This is probably more of a constructed card. Being able to tutor and play basically any card in your deck is amazingly strong. In standard, Dark Petition didn't see much use because you only get 3 mana out of it. There, it's all black. You can't just cast everything you want in your deck immediately.
Mm-hmm. This is up to 5.
This is up to 5, and you can cast it without paying any more mana. That's an absurdly strong effect in constructed. I don't think it translates as well limited. You have to.
This isn't a snap first pick.
You really have to be hitting at least 4, if not 5, for this card to actually be good. If you're only hitting 3 colors, then this card is just kind of eh.
And what deck does this go in? Because we see green-blue is kind of the converged colors, but there's no converged deck.
You have to be both enabling converge and also tutoring for a bomb that costs 4 or less.
And ironically, I don't know if I'm using that word correctly, but if you use this and you're playing a converge deck and you play like the elf, the 3 for a 0/1 that comes into play with 3/1/1 counters if you paid 3 mana, you cannot find other converge cards with this because you're paying it for no colors of mana.
Yep.
So it kind of has anti-synergy with converge in that regard. But overall, I still think this is playable. This card will probably end up getting to the middle or the back half of the pack. I don't think people will be rare drafting this one just because it's just, you need so many colors of mana, it's sorcery speed, and you might not have anything to pull up from it. So
it might, there might be some money drafting going on. In my pro opinion, this is going to have an effect on some constructed formats. It's not quite strong enough for limited.
Yep, I agree. Moving on. We have Brood Butcher. It is 3 colorless, 1 black, and 1 green for a 3/3 creature. This is an eldrazi drone creature. It is rare. It is devoid, meaning it has no color. Despite the colored sources to cast it, it's a colorless card for all intents and purposes. When Brood Butcher enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature token on the battlefield. It has sacrifice this creature, add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. That's what all Eldrazi Scion do. Just when I say Eldrazi Scion, it's a 1/1 that you sacrifice to add 1 colorless to your mana pool. So 5 for a 3/3. Put a colorless Eldrazi Scion token on the battlefield when you play it, and it has the ability, you may tap a green and a black and sacrifice a creature to make target creature get -2/-2 until end of turn.
Yeah, this is... So vanilla-wise, it doesn't quite work out. It's putting 4 mana, 4 toughness on the board for 5 mana.
4 power, 4 toughness.
Yes, for 5 mana. But the sacrifice a creature effect is pretty strong. Like, you already makes a Scion as a perfect target for just sacrificing at instant speed.
Mm-hmm. To kill things.
Give something -2/-2.
Makes combat a real pain in the ass for your opponent.
Because it's better than just 2 damage. It's -2/-2, which also affects their power. Your opponent's not going to have very many profitable blocks if you have this on the board with mana up.
This makes combat math just get so difficult because you can chump with something and then use it to make another chump block lethal. Yeah, there's just a lot you can do here with this card.
It's a strong card. I don't think it's as good as some of the better uncommons. So for that reason, it's probably not going to be a first pick. And also because it's a gold card, you have to have 2 colors.
Mm-hmm. It's black-green. We talked about that in our black review, that black-green is the sacrifice deck, and this definitely contributes to that in a meaningful way. But ultimately, this card is not something that you're going to pick highly when you're not in those colors already.
Agreed.
So pack 1, if you open this, you probably will take something else over it. You'll probably take it.
I mean, it's going in the first few picks.
Yes.
Just maybe not necessarily number 1.
Yeah, this is a card you open and you realize that someone else is going to get. You are effectively opening something that's going to force someone else into that archetype.
A big reward for whoever took the black or green card first pick.
Yeah. So it's kind of unfortunate that way. Pack 2, Pack 3, if you're already in these colors, it is a godsend. 5 for 3/3 with the Scion attached is just fine. So I would say pick this pretty early if you're in the colors. If you're not in the colors, it's not... Gold cards are nice because you don't feel as guilty passing them because it's just so much harder to splash 2 colors than it is to splash 1 or whatever. And no archetype besides black-green is really going to want this card.
Yeah, unless you have a lot of sacrifice fodder, then it just not putting enough power and toughness on the board for the mana you're spending on it.
Yep. Alright, next card, we have Brutal Expulsion. Costs 2 colorless, 1 blue, and 1 red. This is an instant. It is a rare. It is devoid. And you get to choose one or both. So you can get one of these effects or you can get both of these effects. Return target spell or creature to its owner's hand. The first part of that, return target spell to its owner's hand, that is essentially not really a counter spell, but
it's like a remand effect.
Yeah, if there's a spell on the stack, you can just bounce it back to their hand.
The spell doesn't resolve, has no effect.
The second choice is Brutal Expulsion deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker, and if that permanent would be put into a graveyard this turn, you exile it instead. So this is a neat little 2-for-1 card.
This is a great tempo play.
Yeah, you get a bounce a spell that they're playing, or you bounce the creature they already have in play.
You get to, at instant speed, you get to blank your opponent's turn, and then also potentially destroy a creature that they have on the battlefield.
Yeah, this is a really nice card. This is definitely first pickable because any spell that's actually 2 spells for 1 card is really valuable. And then this is 2 very good spells for 2 cards. Either of those effects for 2 mana, just slamming them together to make a 4 mana card, is great. This is an instant card. There aren't a lot of really good instants in this set, which makes this kind of the king of instant cards.
The instant king.
Or queen, or whatever royalty.
Instant non-gendered eldrazi tentacle monster.
Yep. I'd say pick this really highly. We didn't see a lot of support for blue-red.
Yeah, there was a little bit, and that would suggest there's a devoid control deck somewhere.
Yeah, we saw that with the Kozilek's, whatchamajigger.
But it's really more, if you get the cards like this that are very strong in tempo plays, then you can make a blue-red deck work. You're probably not going to be in blue-red unless you see this card specifically, because there's not very much that works together between those 2 colors.
Yeah, it's just, it's a great card, but it might be hard to get those 2 colors. But you know what? If you get this card, then you will find a way to make those 2 colors work, I promise.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is a very powerful card. I would first pick it.
Yep. Alright, next we have Catacomb Sifter. This is 1 colorless, 1 black, and 1 green. This is a 2/3. It is a devoid creature. It is an Eldrazi drone. It's uncommon. When Catacomb Sifter enters the battlefield, you put an Eldrazi Scion onto the battlefield, and whenever another creature you control dies, scry 1. This is really cool. You don't have to sacrifice creatures to make it work. It just gives you an extra effect when creatures do die on your side. Maybe I'd say arguably, well, it's a different effect. I'd say probably better than the draining 1 life effect that we saw in black. This is black-green. It's a sacrifice. It's 3 for 3 power, 4 toughness, which already makes it quite nice. And then just has the added upside of whenever anything dies, you get to scry and filter your cards to draw nothing but pure gas.
Yeah, so if you just think about the power and toughness that goes on the board, it's 3/4 for 3 mana, which is already just great. That's way undercosted.
The downside is that it's gold.
The only downside is that there's a second color. Some of the power toughness has upside, has a jealousy sign they can sacrifice, and also it has a small upside again where another creature you control dies, scry 1.
Yeah.
So this is really just
nothing but upside.
This is really just a bunch of good stuff for a very cheap card.
Yep.
So this is a first pickable card.
Yeah, we just talked about this with Brutal Expulsion. Doing 2 things with 1 card is just, it's so valuable, and this card is pure value.
And this doesn't really, even though this is a black-green card, this doesn't push you into black-green specifically. This is a splashable card. because the only synergy it has with the whole sacrifice sacrifice archetype is that when a creature you control dies, scry one, which is good no matter what deck you're playing. It's going to come up more if you're sacrificing your creatures.
Yeah, this makes Altar's Reap even better because you sacrifice a creature, scry, and then you draw 2. Right? Because it's an additional cost to play it, so the sacrifice is part of the cost. So
yes, so you
scry goes on the stack first.
You get to scry first. I was thinking whether it was happening at the same time and you get to choose, but no, you always scry first. This is slightly better as a first pick than Brood Butcher because it's just such good vanilla body. That
this is also uncommon versus Brood Butcher's rare, making this card that you will see multiples of, and if you get to draft 2 of them, you're just so set. This is such a high power level card. It's a 3-drop that does more than almost any other 3-drop in this set, so it is superb.
Great card.
Great card. Next card, Drana's Emissary. 1 colorless, 1 white, 1 black. This is a 2/2 creature. It is a vampire cleric ally. It's an uncommon. It's got flying. And at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life.
Yeah, this is a great card.
It's 3 for a 2/2 flying. I think I talked about this in white. I think I was overrating it a little bit. The Shadow Glider. It's just a vanilla 3 for a 2/2 flying. I said it was good because it'll just get in the air over and over again. There's not a lot you can do to stop it. This card is actually 3 for a 2/2 flying, but it kind of works out being a 3/2 flying because you're getting an extra damage in every turn, plus you're getting it back in the form of life.
So this is, if we're going to make a life gain archetype work in black-white, this is exactly what's going to push me towards it, and what's going to enable it so well is that you don't have to do anything to get that life.
Yep, you're just getting that life gain trigger every turn.
You have to have a flying creature on the board. That's a flying creature. It's vanilla playable. It's going to be relevant.
It's an ally.
It's an ally. It's going to be relevant no matter if they blank it as an attacker later. It still just trains the opponent for a life every turn.
You just have it sit there, and it just becomes an enchantment that drains 1 life.
Yeah. I was kind of down on a whole black-white life gain deck. It definitely can work and can be strong if you have this card. Hopefully you have multiples. That's going to be difficult, though, because I would first pick this.
Hitting the gain life on your upkeep, just like every turn, just triggering that gain life on upkeep, it makes your Malakir Familiars a 3/2 every turn. It makes so much do so much.
Makes your Bloodborne Vampire get a counter every single turn.
Yes. And this curves into that really well. It's 3 mana, you play 4. Yeah. This is a really nice card. Multiples are extremely good, but having just the 1 is great. It's first pickable. It's just the power level on this card is great. These gold cards are just so strong. And again, I think I said this in black. We probably should have started with these because gold cards really highlight the archetypes. And this shows you that when you're playing white-black, you are playing allies and you're playing life gain to some extent. So, really cool card. Pick it highly. Don't feel bad about not picking it if you're not on those colors or you're not an ally player, but if you are, you're going to want this card and you're going to pick it pretty highly.
Agreed. I'd first pick this. I think it's just that strong of a card.
I would pick removal over it, I think, generally, because having an answer to a card like that is probably better than having a card like that. I don't know.
Well, no, having the bomb is better than having the removal for the bomb. The removal is just this next best thing. I think this is good turn 3 play. That's never going to be complete. That's never going to be bad as the game goes on. It's always going to be enabling synergy. It's always going to be just straight up draining your opponent for 1 every turn. It's going to make it hard for them to race you.
Yep, it's a good card.
Yeah, great card.
Next card is Dust Stalker. 2 colorless, 1 black, 1 red. This is a 5/3 creature. It's an eldrazi. It is a rare. It's got Devoid. It has haste. And at the beginning of each end step, if you control no other colorless creatures, you return Dust Stalker to its owner's hand. This is the card aggro decks really want to curve out on top. We played with Sprinting Warbrute in Dragons.
There's also a Pigless Horde in Dragons, which is very similar to this card.
Yes. I think this is pretty strong. I mean, 4 for a 5/3 haste is good. If you have another colorless creature and you don't have to bounce it, that's fine. It saves you the mana, but if you don't have anything better to play on your next turn, bouncing this is fine because you just get to swing with it again.
Mm-hmm. You can just stash it in basically every turn.
It's reliable. It's not always consistent.
5 power haste on turn 4 is a beating. If your opponent, even if your opponent can't expect it, there's not going to be a lot they can do some games.
Yeah, you just get chunked a quarter of your life with this card.
If anybody's ever gone against the Sprinting Warbrood player, they're on a play turn 4. It's like, okay, dash Sprinting Warbrood, attack with everything. You're feeling pretty bad about that game.
Yeah, you're within lethal range already. Red-Black has some pretty cool aggro stuff going on. We're about to see one in a couple gold cards here.
Spoilers.
Yep, spoilers for the spoilers. This is just a nice card, and pick it pretty highly. I don't know if I'd pick it over something that costs a little less, that does a little more, but I would never be unhappy drafting this card.
I would take it slightly lower than I took Sprinting Warbrood and Dragons, and I was okay first picking Sprinting Warbrood and Dragons in a weaker pack.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the pack would have to be pretty weak for me to first pick this. But if I see this coming third or fourth, I'm thinking this is a signal.
Yes. Also, unlike Sprinting Warbrood, this does not have to attack each turn.
That was not really a downside for Sprinting Warbrood.
No,
I don't know what you were planning on doing with your 5/4. But
yes, that was an aggro card. This is also an aggro card. Blocking, like we saw in Skitterskin, can't block. Doesn't really matter if you're swinging for attacking every turn.
All right.
Duststalker, pick it highly. Don't pick it too highly. And if you're going into black-red, good luck, because I think the aggro archetype in black-red didn't look as strong.
There's some colorless cards in there, but I don't think quite enough, and they're not quite strong enough for this to really work. But if you have cards like Duststalker, then yeah.
Duststalker will make it work. If you don't have the rare support, it might not be strong enough to get you there, but you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Drafts are kind of chaotic that way. Next, we have Fathom Feeder. This is 1 blue and 1 black. It is a Eldrazi drone creature. It's a 1/1. It is a rare. It's devoid. It's got Death Touch. It's got Ingest, and it has the ability where you may tap 3 colorless, 1 blue, and 1 black to draw a card, and each opponent exiles the top card of his or her library. This is a really neat control card.
Mm-hmm. This card is great.
It's got so much flexibility. You can use this card to block something huge. You can use this card to threaten a blocker on theirs because they have to block or they get ingested, or you let this sit around while you're waiting for something to Death Touch on the defense, and then you can start drawing a card every turn for 5, which isn't the worst for drawing a card.
It's instant speed, so you can just leave up your removal, you can leave up your counterspell, and just say, okay, they don't have to do anything that I care about, draw a card.
Yep, and you get you exile it, you make processor food.
Just keep ingesting
it. So
yeah.
I think this is a good card.
It's difficult for your opponent to block early. This will trade up. This can ingest a couple cards, and then later in the game, this can just sit back, draw cards, and block whatever big threat they have.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing. This card just does everything that a control deck wants to do. I like the black-blue archetype so much in my head that I probably first pick it, just because I want to try the archetype out. I guess later, when I'm more disciplined, I would say probably not a first pick card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a really cool card. The archetype looks strong.
Yeah, it's just so cool. And all these blue Eldrazi's, I love all the art of these, like, I think the Eldrazi look way creepier as sea monsters, and they're all, like, underwater and totally cool.
Underwater Eldrazi is something that...
Drowner of Hope art is pretty freaking cool. But, we're not here to talk about the art.
We can talk about the art.
But that's not why we're here, Jacob. We're here to give a professional review to these cards for a limited perspective.
As a pro, I really don't care about anything except for the text.
Yeah, I don't even see the art. That's not even true. Next card is Forerunner of Slaughter. It is it's pretty funny. It's a black and a red for a 3/2. Already great. Creature type Eldrazi Drone. This is an uncommon card. It's devoid, and you may tap a colorless to give target colorless creature haste until end of turn. This is your aggro deck bread and butter.
Yep, this is...
It's either 2 for a 3/2 that attacks next turn, or it's 3 for a 3/2 haste.
Would you say it's the aggro deck bread and butter, or the aggro deck meat and potatoes?
This is sort of like the chocolate and peanut butter of the aggro deck.
Oh.
This is kind of the. All right, I'm out.
It's how I describe it as. I would say it's a bread and butter of the black-red aggro deck.
Yeah, it's not really meat and potatoes type card.
Meat and potatoes screams common to me.
Yeah, this is more of a bread and butter, which is
the reward.
Anyway, you play this card in black-red. You're going to draft as many copies of this card as you want, and being able to play a card a turn later than you wanted to give it haste might be very serious.
Yeah, this is, just on its own, it's either a 2-mana 3/2 or a 3-mana 3/2 haste. And
I think I covered that already.
Oh, I'm sorry, Colin.
Yeah, it's a good card. What do you think?
Well, now I'm just not really sure what you said anymore, so I like this card.
I said it's a 2-mana 3/2 or a 3-mana 3/2 haste. And so did you. And then I did again.
So
what's the deal?
So I think at the end here that we can just say this card really has two modes. It's either a 2-mana 3/2 or a 3-mana 3/2 haste. And both of those are good.
Yeah.
And both of those will be good just on their own. And the fact that you can have both of those on the same card, it's just amazing. This is not quite first pick because you want your double color cards to become later in the game because it's much easier to get your second color on turn 5 than it is on turn 2. But I really like this card, and this would push me to black-red if I was in one of those colors.
Yeah, this card's probably not going to wheel. I think it's a good pick. If you're in red another color and black or another color, I think it's probably splashable if you're in a really eldrazi heavy deck. Giving something haste for one is not... that's how much haste should cost, and it's how much haste costs on this card, and that's pretty nice.
It's pretty nice.
And it's a 2-mana 3/2. It's so good.
And it can also be a 3-mana 3/2.
Okay. Next card is Grove Rumbler. 2 colorless, a red and a green. This is the card that makes you very happy, I'm sure. This is a 3/3 elemental. It's uncommon. It has trample, and it has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, Grove Rumbler gets +2/+2 until end of turn. This is your finisher. This is your curve topper at 4 in your aggro landfall deck.
This stacks well with multiple landfall triggers if you can manipulate that way by turn 5 when it actually attacks. It's just kind of rare. But a 5/5 trampler is so difficult to face down, and this only costs 4, so you're probably going to be able to trigger that for at least a couple turns. This isn't great. This isn't a great blocker. It's just a hill giant.
Yeah, but still a 5/5 trampler.
This is such a beating, especially if you've been getting in with your side leopards earlier in the game. Yeah, this can close out the landfall deck. I love it.
It's uncommon, so you'll see 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah,
probably
not quite a first pick for me. I'd probably first pick it just because I love the archetype so much.
Yeah,
but I'm probably not a first pick for.
The thing is,
for a reasonable draft.
Yeah. You'll draft the good removal, but by picking this card, or by not picking this card, you're basically opening that archetype up to someone else, and you kind of know that that's going to happen. So it does kind of give you information when you pass this card, because now you know that that archetype's going to start getting cut because you just passed the finisher for it.
You got to pay attention to the signals that you're passing.
Yep. That's what's going to put your drafting to the next level. Or it won't. Next we have...
It will. It will.
Okay. Next we have Grove Tender Druids. This is a 2 colorless, 1 green, 1 white for a 3/3 creature. It is an elf druid ally. It is uncommon. It is has the ability Rally, which I don't think we've talked about in the gold set yet. And Rally is whenever this card or another ally enters the battlefield, you get a nice effect. In Grove Tender Druids, effect is that when Grove Tender Druid or another ally enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 colorless, and if you do, you put a 1/1 green plant creature token onto the battlefield. This is really interesting because this seems like it's perfect for a sacrifice type deck or a go wide type deck, but you wouldn't necessarily play this in the black-green sack deck because that's an Eldrazi deck. It's not running a lot of allies. And was there secretly support for a green-white?
I never actually noticed one. There were some green allies, and white's the primary ally color. But, I never really saw anything that would specifically push me towards green-white.
Well, green had the rally triggers of giving everything +1/+1 or +2/+2.
Oh, it had the couple of, like, really big allies that could
Yes,
finish.
there were 5 drops that made
Yes.
everything get 1+1 or
Yeah.
+2/+2.
I mean, the green would definitely be a very secondary color if I was playing allies.
Yeah.
I'd be trying to go white.
And
first
then
of all.
the thing is, the rally effect on this is you pay a colorless. So it's not green, it's not forcing you into green.
You can splash green for this card. This is powerful enough to splash.
And I think you should, because getting a 1/1, basically any creature you play, any allied creature you play, you get to pay an extra 1 to put another power and toughness on the board. That's fair. It's wide. White has a lot of anthem type effects that make everything do more damage. This is just a really solid card and goes well into pretty much any ally deck, and you just splash whatever color you don't already have to get it. I don't think it's first pickable.
Not first pickable.
But this will go very highly in the packs, and this will be a sign that allies are open if you get it. Because this is what allies. This is like a very good payoff card for allies.
Yeah,
It's not a finisher, but it's a payoff.
Yeah, you need to make sure you have enough other allies to actually be able to reliably trigger this. If you don't ever trigger this and pay the extra mana, then it's a 4-mana 3/3 that has 2 different colors in it, so it's like the worst case scenario for 4-mana 3/3.
I think we can agree there's 2 modes to this card. There's a 4-mana 3/3 or a 5-mana 3/3 and plus a 1/1 plant token.
Yeah, that is true. And both those are slightly undercosted.
Yes.
So you have, or slightly overcosted. So you have to be able to trigger this.
I think you're probably going to be playing this for 4, and then the next turn you're going to be making plans by casting some of the 3-drop allies you had in your hand that you weren't able to play, 2 3-drops in a turn. And then you can get some value out of it that way. Drawing this, waiting to play this on turn 5 for the 3/3 with the plant creature token probably isn't going to be worth it in a lot of cases. But it's still a really nice card. Still pick it highly and still enjoy playing it. Okay?
Agreed.
Okay, next card. Herald of Kozilek. This is a colorless, a blue, and a red for a 2/4. This is a devoid creature. It's an Eldrazi drone. This is an uncommon. Colorless spells cost 1 less to cast. 1 converted less to cast. This is really cool. There's so many devoid cards in this set. And I think we're seeing now that this blue-red colorless matters has a fair amount of support.
This isn't really the payoff that, Grove Rumbler was for something like Landfall deck. This is not on the same power level.
No, but this will set up for playing multiple colorless cards to trigger when a colorless thing comes into play on tap, which we saw in red, or when a colorless comes into play, give this +1/+0, which we saw in red.
So this is a reasonably costed creature for just a vanilla cost for 3-mana 2/4 is fine.
Yeah, I think I would play this in pretty much any Eldrazi deck. I would probably likely be splashing red for this card, because blue, I think blue goes into any Eldrazi deck because of your Mist Intruders, Invaded, whatever it's called, and your Benthic Infiltrators and your Eldrazi Sky Spawners.
Those are probably too slow for a red deck.
But the idea for the red deck seems to be put up, like, you're going wide with blue-red Eldrazi's, and then you're swinging in with that Star 5 Trampler that has power and toughness equal to color.
You're doing the Sky Spawner, Sky Spawner.
Go wide. Yeah, I think this is a good card. Blue also has the Lords that give +1/+0 or +0/+1.
True.
I think this card is pretty darn good, and I pick it pretty highly.
This card is good. I don't see myself already being in blue-red, though. It's hard to get into that archetype. If I was, for some reason, I would definitely be picking this very highly, but I don't think this is going to push me into it. I don't think this is going to make me go, oh, I'm a blue deck, I should also be playing red, or I'm a red deck, I should also be playing blue now.
It does help you ramp into bigger Eldrazi as well.
It does, but
by
it's
1.
probably not the right archetype to be ramping into that.
Yeah, well, I think we'll see. I'm going to rate this probably higher than you are. I'm saying pick this pretty early. There's so much colorless spells, so many colorless spells in this set that having to pay 1 less mana for each is going to add up and save you a lot of efficiency in the long run. I think this is a good card, and I would play it.
If I was already in blue-red, this would be a top 5 pick, I guess. But I'm probably not going to already be in blue-red when I see this. So this is more of a middle-of-the-pack pick for me.
All right. Well, those are two opinions, and you may choose which one you...
Or form your own opinion.
Yeah, form your own opinion, but you've heard it here from us.
The pros.
The pros. Colin and Jacob. Okay. Next card is Kiora, Master of the Depths. This is 2 colorless, green and a blue. This is a Planeswalker at Mythic rarity, as I think all Planeswalkers are. It is 4 loyalty. Yeah, the +1, untap up to 1 target creature and up to 1 target land. That's quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
-2, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a creature card and a land card from among them into your hand. Put the rest in your graveyard. Quite nice. And -8, you get an emblem with whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may have it fight target creature. And then you put 3 8/8 blue octopus creature tokens on the battlefield.
So those all fight something too.
Yep, because you get the emblem first. This is a really solid, not solid, this is a very good card. You'll be very happy to draft it. Green-blue, the archetype is kind of like converge, colors matter. It's not the best archetype.
I didn't really notice a green-blue synergy beyond Converge, and I don't think Converge is a real deck.
Converge doesn't have enough payoff, really. Yeah. But this will support pretty much any deck you're building. Untapping creatures and lands is nice. There's not a lot of... In fact, I almost didn't see pretty much any creature tap effects that untapping them would be just like totally broken.
Yeah, that's really Akira's only way to actually defend herself on this card, is by just untapping her own creatures. So you can still be attacking and help block her out.
The -2, you get a dig, 4 cards to find a creature and a land.
Yeah, you'll probably be fine. You'll probably be finding 2 on average. It's going to be 1 point something, but it's 1 point something is going to be closer to than it's 1. Yeah, this is a Planeswalker that draws cards when she enters the battlefield most of the time, and then has no way to defend herself. So she can be great when you can defend her, and probably...
Yes, 4 mana for the -2, and then it gets killed. I don't think it's cost efficient.
I will first pick this at FNM just because this is a Planeswalker, and it's pretty cool.
Yes.
At Grand Prix, I'd be passing this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'd always pass it, but if I'm not in those colors, then I am, definitely.
Pack 1, pick 1, I wouldn't take this at Grand Prix.
Interesting. I would take it, but I'm, insect brain.
Yeah, you gotta make distinctions between FNM and Grand Prix.
Yes, alright. When I go to a Grand Prix, which is, inevitable, everyone goes to a Grand Prix at some point, then I will pass this, but I probably won't do either of those things. Next up, we have March from the Tomb, or Tomb, depending on how you pronounce things. It's 3 colorless, 1 white, 1 black. It's a sorcery. It is rare. Return any number of target ally creature cards with total converted mana cost 8 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is a combo card for standard, pretty much. This will do something for you, probably, in limited. I don't know if it does enough to first pick this.
This is a really strong card if you're playing allies. Even if you can return 2 creatures that are both there, like, if you can return 5 converted mana costs of 2 creatures to the battlefield from your graveyard. This is great.
8 is awesome. Less than 5 is unideal.
Yeah, returning 2 bears, 2 bear allies is so a good effect for 5 mana.
Yeah, they do enter the battlefield, triggering rally.
Basically, you just want to be getting 2 creatures from the graveyard into the battlefield.
Yeah, this is pretty powerful.
This is a very strong effect.
I think it's gonna go pretty late in picks unless someone's already in allies. So pack 1, this will go late, and then pack 2 and 3, this will be scooped up pretty fast.
You have to be both in black and also in black allies, which is conditional.
Well, we saw a lot of the black cards are black allies that pair with white.
Yeah. There's also a lot of black cards that aren't allies, but
that's true.
That is one of the black archetypes.
So pick this if you're in allies.
Yeah.
If you open this pack 1, pick 1. Don't take this. Probably. I don't think it's.
Yeah. There's also a conditional setup when you actually play it. You have to have a bunch of allies in your graveyard already. This is probably not a turn 5 play unless you've been really playing pretty well throughout the rest of the entire game.
If you know you have March of the Tomb in your hand, then you kind of feel a little more free to be aggressive with your creatures. You're okay to trade down and just attack in because you're going to be able to bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next card. Munda, Ambush Leader. This is a legendary. It's a 2 colorless, red and white. So 4 total. It's a 3/4 legendary core ally.
Ally.
It is a rare. It has haste. Whenever Munda, Ambush Leader, or another ally enters the battlefield under your control, you may look at the top 4 cards of your library. If you do, reveal any number of ally cards from among them, and put the cards on the top of your library in any order, and the rest on the bottom in any order.
Yeah, the end of the battlefield effect is not really that exciting to me.
Yeah, it doesn't change the board state.
I guess it just makes sure you keep drawing allies for a couple turns.
Yep, you just keep rallying until you win, essentially.
It's careers on all allies, so
yep.
You can just make sure you never draw a land again, I guess.
Yep.
But if you do this, then you can't put your removal spell in your hand. You have to put all non-allies in the bottom of your library.
Yep. It's a 3/4 haste. This kind of showcases that the red-white ally deck is going to be really aggressive. We saw that with the Angel that we saw. That was a 5-drop for a 4/3 flying, I believe, that pumped with allies. This is a 4-drop for a 3/4 haste, which means attack the turn you play, which is what you're going to be wanting to do. This is a card that helps you draw nothing but net and gets you in.
The rally ability is a May ability, so you don't even have to do it if you don't want to.
That's true. That's very true.
So you can conceivably be using this trigger a couple times, but even if you don't, that's fine. 3/4 haste is definitely a very solid creature for 4. This is not a first pickable card to me. It's because for most of the time it's going to be vanilla 3/4 haste.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something I'll take high if I'm already in red or white.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I wouldn't first pick this either. I would pick this if I was already in red and white. I would maybe,
So I would actually probably take this if it was in either red or white and was looking for a second color. This would help push me towards that second color.
Also, the art, pretty cool. This guy,
oh yeah,
you can see in the background there's just like a giant eldrazi, and he's just ripped through it, and there's a bunch of little tentacle chunks flying around. He's a badass. I think that's okay to say.
Munda.
All right, next card, also a badass. Noyan Dar, Royal Shaper. 3 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue. It's a 5 total. This is a 4/4 legendary merfolk ally. It's a rare. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may put 3 +1/+1 counters on target land you control. If you do, that land becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with haste that's still a land. All of your spells suddenly have Awaken, or you could just pump a creature or a land you already have Awakened for 3 every time you cast an instant or sorcery spell.
This is a beating.
Even if you don't have a lot of instant or sorcery spells, which is likely because this is a very creature-heavy set. Triggering this once is already amazing. This is in white-blue. That's the Awaken archetype. This is clearly an Awaken payoff card. It's just so strong. Even 5 for a 4/4 is, we've talked about that. That's
slightly lower than you want, but doable.
Yeah, it's doable, but you throw in the fact that every instant or sorcery spell you pay has a free Awaken attached to it.
That's just so powerful. Every single Awaken instant sorcery is now straight up a 2-for-1.
Yes.
Unconditionally.
And a good 2-for-1, a 3/3 haste creature. Well, one of your lands becomes a 3/3 creature with haste. Or, again, you put 1/1 counters on something that's already a land, like you put it on your man land. Mm-hmm. Or...
If your opponent doesn't kill Noyandar the turn you put it out, then you are about to run away with the game.
Yep.
I would first pick this.
Yes, I would also first pick this. This power level is absurd. It is over 8,999 +1. It is just such a good card.
Hey. I went back the throwback memes.
Yep. Shoop to whoop. Next card. Omnath, Locus of Rage. 3 colorless, 2 red, 2 green. That's a total of 7, which makes it, harder to cast than a lot of cards we've talked about. 7 is a little unfeasible. However, the power level on this card might be worth it. Let's get into what that power level is. This is a 7-drop, 2 red, 2 green. It's deep in those colors. It is a 5/5 legendary elemental. It is a mythic rare. It's got the landfall ability that whenever a land enters the battlefield, you put a 5/5 red and green elemental token on the battlefield. And whenever Omnath or another elemental you control dies, which all your lands are in an Awakened deck, essentially.
You don't have any Awakened cards in green or red, but yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a couple that are just not
Yeah.
supported too highly. Anyway, whenever Omnath or another elemental you control dies, you do 3 damage to target creature or player.
So notably, one of those other elementals can be the 5/5 token that you make when you put a land on the battlefield.
Very true.
This is an absurdly good card.
It's hard to get to there.
It's hard to get there, but the payoff is just so massive.
Good.
You know, if I had this card in my deck, there would be the sensitive play, land number 18, or maybe even 19 if this is more of an 18-land set.
Yeah. The thing is, this is a red and green card that's part of the landfall archetype, but most of the landfall cards are really, besides Territorial Baloth, which we reviewed in the green set, are really undercost. Well, not undercosted, they're very low-costed and are more for an aggro finish. This is a 7-drop that needs an 8th land to really start popping off.
So if I drafted this card pack 1, pick 1, I'd probably prioritize cards like Scythe Leopard lower than if I was drafting a different green-red deck.
Yeah, this isn't actually... It has landfall, but it isn't necessarily
this is
in the landfall aggro deck.
This is more in the ramp deck.
Yeah.
He still prioritizes natural connections for the ramp, but if you play this and then follow up with land trigger landfall, this will win you the game.
Okay.
This is just so strong that it's hard not to try to draft around it.
And you know what? First picking this card, even if you realize after a couple picks after that you're not going to get to the red-green deck, it's not the worst thing in the world to just
put this
be
in your
wrong
trade
on first picking a rare.
Put this in your trade binder.
It's
and
still
you'll be okay.
it's still a cool card. You still feel neat drafting it. It's a legendary card that makes everyone feel good. It's a cool card. It's a 5/5 for 7. It's not the best body, but if it dies, you get to do 3 damage. Yeah, it's just cool. And there's other elementals in the set that do have some synergy, like just accidental synergy with this card. I think it's very good, and this will win you the game when you play it.
This is an easy first pick for me. If I'm not in red-green, I open this pack 2 as a reluctant pass because there's 2 double-costed. There's 4 total colors of mana.
Unsplashable. Completely unsplashable. But, you might just red draft it because you
want it in your binder.
You want it in your binder. All right,
you
next
don't
card.
want to play against it. That's a big thing.
Yes, next card is Resolute Blade Master. This costs 3 colorless, 1 red, and 1 white. This is another aggressive ally. It's a 2/2 human soldier ally. It's uncommon. This is a 5-drop for a 2/2, so what does it do to make up for that? Well, it has the rally effect that whenever it or another ally enters the battlefield under your control, creatures you control gain double strike until end of turn. Double strike is very strong. Double strike will win you the game when you're dropping this on turn 5, and suddenly all your little 2, 3, 4, because you've been curving out perfectly, because that happens every time you build a draft deck. Every time you play this, you do a ton of damage, and then every ally you play after this means you're doing a ton of damage. I think this is a great finisher for red-white. We've seen 3 gold finishers for the red-white ally archetype so far. I guess Mundo wasn't really a finisher per se, but he puts you on the track to finish.
Yeah, this is a pretty powerful effect, something that's going to be easy to underestimate. If you ever play with Berserker's Onslaught in Dragon's Tarkir, and you drop that with a couple creatures on the board, now all of a sudden all your creatures are good attackers. Even the ones that your opponent thought were blanked.
Yep.
This is a really terrible blocker, of course, but that's okay.
That's not what you're doing in an aggressive red-white deck.
If you can give your creatures double strike, then you don't. When they're attacking, then attacking is being more profitable than blocking. Just almost every time.
Super cool art, by the way. The red and the white are both there, but it's subtle and cool.
Yeah, the
and
blood
spiky.
red cape kind of hanging out behind him. Yeah, this is a card I'm really hesitant to first pick. I could. The removal I'd take over this guy, the good removal. I'd probably take him over.
It's not a first pick card because it's a finisher in your archetype. It's maybe like a 3rd or 4th pick, or it's definitely a big pick in pack 2 or pack 3 when you're already in those colors.
Yeah, removal's gonna be the pick over this guy.
Mm-hmm.
You'd probably take him over the Eldrazi Sky Spawner type creatures that are just good value at common.
Maybe not. Eldrazi Sky Spawners, those are going to be game winners. I would first pick those cards. I
think it's easy to underestimate how good the Berserker's Onslaught effect is on his card. That was an enchantment at 5 in Dragons. It's straight up winning games. This is a creature at 5. It's not, a little bit harder to trigger, but it's going to win the game when you play it.
And if you trigger it even one more time, it's doing huge work.
Huge.
Okay, next card. Royal Spout. 1 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue. This is a uncommon sorcery. Put target creature on top of its owner's library. That's way overcosted for what it is. However, Awaken 4 for 4 colorless, 1 white, and 1 blue. I don't know if we've talked about Awaken in these gold cards yet.
Nope.
Okay. Awaken, if you cast a spell for its Awaken cost, you also put the Awaken number of counters on target land you control, and it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with haste. It's still a land. So, this is either a 3-mana sorcery tempo play that makes them have a blank draw, essentially, or it's a 6-mana 4/4 that is a huge, huge play. You never want to play this for anything other than its Awaken cost, because something's going wrong if you have to. And if you do play it for its Awaken cost, it's amazing. 4 mana, and you put target creature on top of its owner's library, or 4/4, and you put target creature on top of its owner's library.
So I actually disagree. I think this is the right cost for this effect. If you remember Anchor to Ether from Origins, that was a good card to have in your deck. Of course, you scry 1 when you play it, which is better than doing nothing.
I think you scryed 2.
You scry 1.
Scry 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right.
But that was still a very good card to have in your deck. That was going in top 5 picks.
Yeah.
It blanks your draw step. It takes a threatening creature out of play. Of course, you can't play it on creatures that have good enter battlefield effects. So there's that problem, but it's very strong. It was a very strong play. And this has the upside of being able to Awaken 4 with it, which, as you covered, is an absurdly good card when you do.
Awaken 4.
Yeah.
That makes a 4/4 haste land creature. That's great.
Yep, that also just... It's a 2-for-1.
Yeah, Blue-White Awaken looks like it's going to be kind of a sleeper in this set. Well, I don't want to say that because it's so dumb to speculate on what's going to be popular or not. But I think Blue-White Awaken has a lot of really great tools. It's kind of control-y, but then it makes really big land creatures, and that's pretty nice.
Yeah, this is maybe not a first... Oh, this is pretty close to a first pick for me.
Yeah.
It's probably more of a pick 2 through 4, but you can first pick it.
I mean, imagine if this card was only its Awaken cost. If it was a creature that cost 6 mana for a 4/4 that when it came into play it has this effect, I think that would be first pickable.
Yeah, you're right. 2 colors maybe underestimate too much. Yeah, this is a first pick card.
Okay, cool. All right, I say first pick, second pick, third pick are any good picks. And if you're seeing this card late, that is a really, really good sign that Awaken is open, because this card, the power level is through the roof. Next card. Speaking of power levels that are through the roof, this is probably another one of my favorite cards from this set. Sire of Stagnation. 4 colorless, 1 blue, 1 black. It's a 5/7 creature. It's an Eldrazi. It is a mythic rare. And when you see a mythic Eldrazi, you know shit's fucked.
Mm-hmm.
It's devoid. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, that player exiles the top 2 cards of his or her library, and you draw 2 cards. This card is so good.
Would you say it's bananas?
No. But I would say that this hoses landfall deck. It hoses any deck that plays lands, which is all of them.
Which is every single deck.
Because basically when you play this turn 6, or you play it a little earlier because you have Scions or Heralds of Kozilek, you play this early, you drop a 5/7 down, they have to decide, you make the game so unfun for your opponent, which makes me kind of question why this was printed, because the whole unfun cards are kind of frowned upon.
So it's a big creature turn sideways.
Yep, it's a 6 for a 5/7. That's already great. It's when a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, that player exiles the top 2 cards of his or her library, fuels processing really nicely, and you draw 2 cards. That just
draw 2 cards is
nice.
Even if your opponent only plays 1 land for the rest of the entire game, that's still great value. And this is 6 drops. Your opponent's not going to need to play too many lands. This isn't going to hose a landfall deck necessarily, because they're getting their lands out pretty early for the aggressive drops.
But they can't play anymore.
They can't play anymore. That's right.
Your opponent just sits there with lands in their hand, and they have to think every time they need to play a land, like, is this worth it? And probably not.
Nope.
Unless they're like trying to get to the Omnath, Locust of Rage.
Oh, that's that's going to be a nice little battle if you have the Omnath versus Sire.
It's a very
Every
flavorful battle as well, because this is like the regal eldrazi right here. This is no Ulamog, but Ulamog doesn't cost 6, and Ulamog doesn't draw you cards.
And the flavor text does a lot of favors for this card when it comes to just reflecting how powerful it is.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Flavor.
As a great scourge passed by, Zendikar shivered, then lay silent.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happens. Zendikar is all about lands coming into play. This is all about shut the fuck up. You're exiling
You're
2
dead.
cards.
You're
I'm
just-
drawing 2
I
cards.
just calmly passed by, and now you're dead. Oh, and wait, by the way,
By the way, I'm a 5/7,
this is a 5/7 creature.
which means I'm attacking every turn and you're dying.
Vanilla 5/7 for 6 is still a good card.
Yep. Amazing.
This is first pick.
It's a first pick. It's a first pick. It is absolutely a first pick.
This is something splash 4 if you open it.
Next card, we have Skyrider Elf. This costs X, green, and blue. This is an Elf Warrior ally. It is a 0/0. It is uncommon. 0/0, you say? Well, it's flying, and it has Converge. Skyrider Elf enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. I think this is actually, like, the playable
Yes, this is the best Converge
creature.
card. Yes, this is the best Converge card because you look at it and you say, how many colors of mana do I actually need to spend to make this card good?
You only have to spend 2 to
You
make
only
it
spend
2/2
2.
flying.
And you also always have to spend 2 for this card anyway.
Mhm.
If you ever spend a third color, this is
3 for a 3
also
flying.
yeah, it's even better.
Every cost that you pay for this card, and it's up to you because it's 2 and X. So unlike other Converge cards that have a set number, a set cost, and you're kind of overpaying for an ability when you don't have enough Converge, this one is you choose your Converge, and every value of that Converge you're choosing is overvalued.
Yeah. And if Wizards ever decides to print yellow land, then you can cast this for 6 counters.
Yes, if yellow becomes the new color, then this becomes a 6 for 6/6. I don't know if that's going to happen. I feel like that would have a lot of bad implications retroactively. We're not speculating on a 6 color here, James.
Actually,
This
my
just
friend
being
works at
a-
Wizards. It's confirmed.
Okay, yeah, his uncle works at Wizards. This is a really good card, and this is a card you would almost make you go into Converge for.
This is not a card I'll go into Converge for. This is a card where I'm saying, I'm gonna get a 2/2 flying for 2.
It's also an ally, so if you're an ally which already benefits a lot from having multiple colors, then suddenly this is generally going to be a 3 for a 3/3 flying. Totally fine.
This might push me towards a 3-color deck if I can make it work.
Yeah.
Because green-blue isn't really the strongest color combination in this set, so I'm gonna want to be putting this into a Teamer or a Bant or one of those kind of archetypes.
Yeah, I think Bant's probably your best bet because you have like Awakened stuff and then Converge
Allies
stuff.
energy too.
Yeah, okay. Skyrider Elf is good. I don't think it's first pickable, but it's definitely second or third pickable.
Yeah, 2 mana 2/2 flying is a very efficiently costed card, but it's not a bomb.
It's not scary. And then, Magical Christmas Land, when you get 5 for a 5/5 flying, you get your Baneslayer Angel. It's quite powerful.
Alright, what's next?
Next, we have Ulamog's Nullifier. It's cost 2 colorless, a blue, and a black. This is a 2/3 Eldrazi processor creature. It's uncommon, it's devoid. It has Flash, which is my favorite ability to see on a card that isn't instant. It's got flying. When Ulamog's Nullifier enters the battlefield, you may put you process 2 cards, and if you do, you get a counter spell. So this is a 4-mana counter spell that leaves a 2/3 on the battlefield. Of course, you have to be able to process 2 cards, which is a little bit.
Which is more than the other cards.
It's more than 1.
Yeah.
2 is a lot more than 1. It's double, as some would notice.
But this is such a strong card.
It is.
Wow, 2/3 flying for 4. We talked about this with the Griffin that was in white. That's just still a vanilla creature.
Mm-hmm. Flash makes it better because you can blow
great.
someone out in combat.
Yeah. And it's also 2-for-1 when you play it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it can be.
It can. Yeah, you should be setting this up to be a 2-for-1 throughout the whole game because this is an amazingly powerful effect if you can
get there.
Yeah, I can get there.
If your 2-drop and your 3-drop can both process a card or both ingest a card, and you have 2 in their exile, and you have Ulamog's Nullifier in your hand, you are suddenly sitting with the reins of the game.
And blue-black is the right archetype to be in for this kind of card. They have all the ingest cards. They have a bunch of XL cards. This is
Yeah.
the deep payoff.
Yes. And it's uncommon, so you might get 2, and then you are
You are
the
set.
draft winner. Congratulations. Pick this really highly. Pick this first.
I would first pick it.
Yes, as we've said multiple times in these gold sets, any card that does multiple things for one card is great, and that does that. So pick it highly. Next card, last card of our gold cards, is the Veteran War Leader. 1 colorless, 1 green, 1 white for a star human soldier ally creature with it's at rare. Veteran War Leader's power and toughness are equal to the number of creatures you control, and tap another untapped ally you control. Veteran War Leader gains your choice of First Strike, Vigilance, or Trample until end of turn. This is the finisher for allies. It's 3 for probably going to be a 2/2, a 3/3 a lot of the times. Can get up there for 4/4. You play your Unified Front. Suddenly this is a lot better.
Such a good card. You find all the synergies for that one.
Yep, I love that card. This is a... And then, you pick your poison. First Strike, Vigilance, or Trample. You get a choose. You can tap down something that wouldn't be able to attack anyway. And now your Veteran War Leader is smashing face with Trample, First Strike, and Vigilance.
Oh yeah, so the only thing that concerns me about this card is that it's a green card, not a red card. I think it would be a lot better if you were an archetype that supported going wide on its own. But at the same time, it's still a pretty good card.
Yeah. Oh, this has pretty good synergy with that uncommon, the Grove Tender Druids or whatever it was called, that puts the plants into play.
But the plants aren't allies.
No, but this power and toughness is equal to the number of creatures you control. Stop.
Just straight up creatures you control. Yeah. So you can just keep on tapping that.
The wider you go, the better this gets.
Yeah.
Also has a kind of cute and unflavorful synergy with From Beyond. Eldrazi do make this card better. But you'll play this in pretty much any deck that's running green and white. I think it's first pickable. I don't know if I'd pick it over really, really solid removal. It's a gold card, and it's in green and white, which doesn't seem to be the most amazing color combo for a 2-color deck. But green-white is a nice base for a 3-color deck, like green-white-blue, green-white-blue, black. Your ally that goes 3 or 4 colors.
Yeah, I think you just have to be doing a lot more work than I want to be doing in greens to start going wide. It's not really what's supported in green in this set. So for that reason, it's not a first pick for me. It's a really strong card, and just by power level, it's by power level, and a vacuum was the first pick. But playing this in a green deck is unexciting. I would splash this card if I saw it later and I was already in a white-based ally deck. Or if I saw this in pack 2, pick 1, or pack 3, pick 1, and I was already in a white-based ally deck, I'd take this and try to prioritize Evolving Wilds and stuff like that to try to get some force. But not pack 1, pick 1. This is slaying me down to a mediocre deck archetype.
Alright, I can co-sign that. I still think it's a pretty valuable pick. Pick it highly, but maybe don't first pick it, because there's other things that are going to be more consistent and more reliable. Alright, that's the end of the gold cards. They're all very interesting. They have such a high power level compared to non-gold cards.
Yes. There's not a single bad gold card in this set. There's nothing that I think will be hanging around maybe Bring to Light's probably the worst one for limited. There's nothing that'll be hanging around in the last half of the pack.
No. And that's pretty cool. Alright, next we have artifacts. There aren't many, but we'll get through them. First, we have the Aligned Hedron Network. Costs 4. Colorless, obviously, it's an artifact.
These are all colorless.
So when I say they cost something, I just mean
in fact, we're actually not going to talk about a single other card that has a color in its casting costs.
Great. Cool. Okay, so this is a 4-mana artifact. When it's a rare, when Aligned Hedron Network enters the battlefield, exile all creatures with power 5 or greater until it leaves the battlefield. This is an interesting board wipe against bigger creatures. This is kind of, I almost think of it as a sideboard card in your super aggressive ally decks, because if you're up against a ramp deck that throws down a big Eldrazi before you can handle it, it stalls you out and then they stabilize and beat you. This card bypasses that, and it potentially exiles multiple things. I think when you're exiling one card with this, which is probably likely going to happen, when it's only one, it's a little overcosted, but you don't have to go into white to get this. Any deck can play this. And then when you're exiling 2, it's way better. 3, even better. And flavorfully, the card depicts Ulamog being trapped within a bunch of prisms, and this will actually get Ulamog if you play this.
Yeah, so I think this is, if you're exiling 1, this is actually the right cost. This is on track. But the condition power 5 or greater is so much different than something like 4 or greater. There's not much that this is going to be hitting. You're really only going to be hitting one creature with this card when you play it most of the time. And so for that reason, I think it's just a nice...
It's a sideboard
It's like a nice
card.
conditional removal spell.
Would you main deck this, actually?
This may go in my main deck. I have to learn the format a little bit better first. This is not going to work against every single deck. This is going to be a blank card against the red-white deck against the green-red deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the landfall deck, on your turn when you're playing this, all the power levels are low. It's only during their turn that they have the over 5 power.
It's a blank card against black-blue deck most of the time. Yeah, this is a blank card against a lot of different archetypes, so probably not main decking this.
It doesn't hit any awakened lands at all, because the biggest awaken is a 4/4.
Yeah, unless they put counters on your own 4/4, but...
Yeah, this is, I think, sideboard. I don't think it's an early pick. I think it's kind of an unexciting rare to open. It's hella flavorful, but it's not going to win you the game.
And it'll win you the game against some archetypes.
Okay, yes, it will win you the game.
It'll be a blank card against just too many decks to really be playing main board, I think.
You have to think maybe one player on the board is going to be going like heavy ramp into Eldrazi.
I'd say I expect maybe 2 or 3 drafters to be playing, not just going ramp.
I guess
Eldrazi
there are some pretty big common Eldrazi.
Just be playing big cards in general. And 1-for-1, I think this is a good deal.
Yeah. So your preference on picking this early or just letting this go, your preference on mainboarding and sideboarding, we're going to have to see how this format really shapes up to know if you're going to be getting a lot of value off this card or if this card's just a good sideboard card.
I agree.
Okay, next we have Hedron Archive. This is 4 mana. It's an artifact. It's uncommon. These are all artifacts. You tap to add 2 colorless to your mana pool, or you pay 2 and tap to sacrifice it and draw 2 cards. I like this card. I think this is kind of at the very high end of where ramp can be, but you get the ramp available immediately. You pay this for 4, you get 2, because artifacts don't have summoning sickness. And then, next turn, if you have a 5th land, you can get up to a 7-drop. I think adding 2 mana to your mana pool any given turn is very strong.
Yeah, this is a 4-mana card. I guess it ends up being 2 mana, but you can only cast it when you have, on turn 4, when you have 4 lands available, or 4 mana available in general. It doesn't do anything when you play it. You spend the excess lands that you have on.
Yeah, you kind of miss your turn 4 play.
Yeah, there's no rune servitor in this set. So unless you have another color of mana available, you're not being able to play another creature.
All the cheap Eldrazi have colored costs just by being colorless themselves, so that 2 mana really won't let you play anything immediately after this.
Yeah, so this is a ramp card that costs 4 mana that doesn't do anything when you play it. Obviously, adding 2 mana to your mana pool every turn is a great effect. That's why Soul Ring is a nice card.
Mm-hmm. You can sack it to draw 2 cards when you don't need it anymore.
You can sack it. My reservation with that is that if you ramp out your big Eldrazi, you don't need it ramp anymore. You should have won the game already. If you haven't won the game, then just drawing 2 more cards is not going to really help you win the game there. If you already cast your big finishers. Yeah, this is just not quick enough for me to really love it. I'm sure this will go in a green ramp deck or 2 that I make, but it's going to be a last resort kind of card and not really a card that I'm excited to get. I'm drafting this in the last half of any given pack. If it's already gone,
if you pull a 10 mana Eldrazi creature, then you'll be on the hunt for this kind of card, though.
Yeah,
this is gonna get you to 9 or 10 mana available to you because you can't get there with lands alone and limited.
Yeah, so you're playing limited. You're probably not going to be opening the Ulamongs. You're going to be opening the maybe 8 mana Eldrazi finishers or the 7 mana.
The Devastator, I believe. It's the 8/9 trample.
Yeah. So if you do open something like an Ulamog, then go crazy. You deserve it. Go crazy.
Okay, Hedron Archive. Don't pick it too highly unless you know you have payoff coming. If you don't have payoff coming, you're going into an aggressive type deck, this card is absolutely not what you want. So you can ignore it pretty safely in, say, like most of the archetypes.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have Hedron Blade. This is a 1-mana artifact. It's common. It's an equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. The equipped cost is 2. And whenever equipped creature becomes blocked, only blocked, by one or more colorless creatures against Death Touch until end of turn. This is a flavorful card. I don't think it's that good.
This is a sideboard card, and it's something I'd be happy to take from the sideboard to my main board if I'm going against somebody playing a lot of Eldrazi. It's not going to be something I value very highly because it's strictly a sideboard card.
Yep, and just if you're not against colorless creatures, or if you're not against threatening colorless creatures, your turn 1 dropping this is just peachy because you're not doing anything else.
2 to equip is a pretty big deal.
2 to equip is pretty big. I think I'd rather have this card be 2 to play and 1 to equip.
Oh yeah, that'd be a lot better. Just a veteran sidearm type card.
Yeah, but as it stands, this is not amazing, but it will perform very well in certain matchups. It's just hard to figure out what deck it goes into. I guess it goes into the ally deck. I mean, there's not a lot of decks that need equipment that badly. Again, I think this is just more of a flavorful card, and it's cute. The Hedron Sword counters Eldrazi's by giving Death Touch. When they get blocked, you have to attack into it. You cannot block a big threatening creature and get Death Touch. It's only on attacking. So they have to willingly sacrifice one of their cards to it, essentially.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's that good. I'm not going to be picking this card pretty much ever, unless it's like last 3 cards.
Yeah, it's going to go the last third of the pack, and you take it for the sideboard. I would sideboard it in against Eldrazi's deck. I think it's +1/+1 is still strong enough, and it allows all your creatures to trade profitably if you're attacking, and you're going to be attacking against the Eldrazi deck, because if you don't attack, they're going to play Eldrazi and you lose.
Yep. It's fine, but
okay.
You'll never pick this early.
Yeah.
If you're picking it early, something's going horribly wrong. Next, we have Pathway Arrows, a very similar type card. It's a 1-mana artifact as equipment with an equip cost of 2. Equipped creature has tap 2, tap. Okay, so pay 2 and then tap the creature. This creature deals 1 damage to target creature. If its colorless creature is dealt damage this way, tap it. This goes really well on Malakir Familiar because you can Death Touch down all of their creatures using this.
Those are the pro interactions right there.
But if you don't have a creature with Death Touch, this is really weak. This costs 5 total to do 1 damage to a creature. But it costs 5 to do 1 damage to a creature, and you have to tap your creature down to do it. And you can do it on their turn to tap down their big threat. This is kind of what a big colorless threat. This is what this card seems to be doing. You just leave up a weenie with Pathway Arrows on it.
Yeah.
You say go during their upkeep. You just tap down their biggest creature, and then
you don't
lose.
This is another strictly sideboard equipment. I would never bring this in against a non-Eldrazi deck because the effect's just not strong enough.
It's just not a good card. It does what it does. It's not exciting. Again, these 2 equipments are going to be probably bottom of the pack, and then you can take it when there's no other cards in your color available.
And I will sideboard this in against a deck with a lot of colorless creatures. I think it's going to be a strong enough effect as turn.
It kills Scions.
Kills Scions, kills permanents in your creatures and its tappers. Somewhat efficiently costed tappers too. It's fine with me.
Alright. Next we have Pilgrim's Eyes. Costs 3. It's an artifact creature. It's a Thopter. It's a 1/1. It's uncommon. It's got flying. When Pilgrim's Eye enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. This is fine. This is going to give you fixing. Yep. This is going to give you a landfall play next turn.
This is not really for a landfall deck. This is for the ramp deck.
Yeah.
Landfall deck doesn't really want to take turn 3 off to play a 1/1 flying. This is going to chump block something and die.
Also, probably not bad in the sacrifice deck because this is the exact kind of card you want to sacrifice.
It already drew your card, so
you just enter the battlefield, replace itself with a land, and then you sacrifice it for more value.
Yeah, but this is for the ramp deck that wants to stay alive and play the lands on curve.
Or the Converge deck, which wants to get every color of mana.
Yeah, if you want some land fixing, this is a colorless creature, so you can cast it for whatever.
Only fetches basic land cards, which isn't as good as something like Sylvan Scrying, which fetches
any land
non-basic, but. You're going to put this in a ramp deck. This card will go pretty early, I think, because there's going to be enough people drafting it. If you think you're going If you think you need the fixing, this is a good card. This is no evolving wilds, but it's fine. Pick this in the middle of the pack if you need it, or don't pick it at all and be fine.
Agreed.
Okay. Next card is Slab Hammer. This is our last artifact. It costs 2. It's an equipment. It's an uncommon. Whenever a equipped creature attacks, you may return a land you control to its owner's hand. If you do, the creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Good. This goes in your landfall deck. This makes your landfall creatures scarier. You put this on a creature, you're always going to be using it because bouncing lands, if your curve ends at 4, you don't mind bouncing the land to 3 and then playing it every turn to hit landfall and just crush in, because +2/+2 is huge, especially on a trampler like the red one for 2. That's a 2/1 with trample, and landfall gives it +1/+1. This just makes it better. This guarantees you get landfall every turn. It's a good card.
Guarantees you get landfall the next turn. You can't return a land to your hand and then play it before combat is already over.
Now,
and that's
you
a
will
pretty
be
big drawback.
You'll be equipping this on turn. Well, you probably won't be equipping this on turn 3 because you're gonna have to play a creature either turn 2 or turn 3, and Slab Hammer on either turn 2 or turn 3 exclusively to each other. So maybe this comes online too late for the aggro landfall deck.
This comes online turn 4 when your opponent probably has some bigger things that you can't get through strictly with playing land and attacking, which is a nice spot to have that equipment come on. But, I'm not really a fan. I think that landfall still wants to keep their lands on the battlefield because if you have a deck based around putting lands on the battlefield, you're going to be playing some creatures that cost a lot. That's good natural synergy. I guess if your curve straight up just stops at 4, this is good. But I don't imagine drafting a landfall deck without some 5-6 mana big creatures to finish things off.
Mm-hmm. And this actually makes it harder to hit those because you're bouncing the lands to your hand.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pick this very highly. I'd rather play a creature than something that benefits a creature. But there is almost 0 artifact hate in the set, so if you play this, it's going to stick around and do multiple things for you. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would ever mainboard this. I can't see myself ever mainboarding this. This may be a sideboard card potentially if the game against people making the game go very long.
Yeah. Pick it late. Again, all these artifacts, all these equipments are going to go really late, and then it's just your pick of the litter at that point. Okay, those were artifacts. Now we are into the cool stuff. These are the colorless eldrazi. Oh, jeez, there's so many of them.
We are in the part that we've been looking forward to this entire time. I'm sure you've been looking forward to it too.
Yes, these are the colorless eldrazi. These aren't tainted by needing mana. These are cards that simply are what they are: big, scary monsters.
Yes, these are the main attraction of the set. They're what everybody wants to play with, and we're about to tell you which ones are good. Yep,
and our opinions matter for some reason. Okay, first we have Bane of Balaged. This is a 7-cost card. Again, these are all colorless, so when I say it costs, it just means it costs that much colorless mana. Bane of Balaged, 7-drop for a 7/5 Eldrazi. This is an uncommon. Whenever Bane of Balaged attacks, defending player exiles 2 permanents he or she controls. They get to choose which 2 they exile, but still you are royally screwing them over with this card every time it attacks.
Taking off 2 of their lands.
Yeah, which is fine because you get to process those if you need to, but otherwise you're just winning.
So Annihilator is not a keyword in this set, but this just has Annihilator too.
Better than Annihilator. Basically, Annihilator was a mechanic in Rise of the Eldrazi that was deemed really unfun to play against because you don't like sacrificing creatures. But people would be really mad if they brought Annihilator back. People would be really mad if they left Annihilator out. So what Wizards did is, I think this is the right call, they just threw the non-keyworded Annihilator onto one card, just this one card, so that kind of an homage to that, and a mention of that without making it a format-defining feature. Just Bane of Balaged, which you will never, ever, ever want to see played on the opponent's side of the board.
This is one of the best Eldrazi. It's only uncommon, too. This is one of the best Eldrazi for finishing off games.
Yeah, you're going to run into probably multiple of these in your draft, and it's going to be a problem. You're going to need a way to deal with this card. Yeah. This is the kind of card you save removal in your hand for.
If your opponent can't block it, then you get to attack with it. You get to attack with it again.
Yeah.
And you get to exile 2 more of their permanents.
Yeah.
And
This card basically it's a 4-for-1 because there's not a lot that favorably blocks 1-for-1 with this. So they'll have to block it with 2 things in order to just prevent them from attacking again. And when it attacks, they exile 2 permanents. So really, really strong. I'd say first pickable.
Yeah, definitely his first pick. And
this wins games.
This is Colorless too, so it goes in
any deck.
Any deck that's not trying to go, attack you
super fast.
Really fast, yeah.
Okay. Bane of Gallaudet, good. Next card is Blightherder. It's a 5-mana 4/5. It's an Eldrazi processor. It's a rare. When you cast it, you may process 2 cards and put 3 1/1 tokens into play, 3 1/1 Eldrazi Scions into play. This is 5 for a total of 7/8 power.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
This is a payoff for the processor strategy.
This is a really nice payoff.
5 for a 4/5 alone is great. 5 for a 4/5 plus 3 1/1s that all let you ramp into even bigger things is even better. It's just great. This is a great card.
Yeah. You have to process 2 cards, which is the only catch. Make sure you can do that. Draft some nice blue, black, and Jess cards, but this is the first pick.
Yep, definitely
pretty easily.
All right, next card, Breaker of Armies. I saw a really cute thing, Breaker of Armies, and leggies and headsies. Yeah, really cute. Really cute. This card isn't. It's a huge monster with way too many arms and tentacles and whatever. Breaker of Armies. 8-drop for a 10/8 Eldrazi creature. This is uncommon. All creatures able to block Breaker of Armies do so. This is a board wipe. It's an overcosted board wipe.
It's only a board wipe for untapped creatures. And if you get to that 8 mana to cast Breaker of Armies, your opponent's not going to be like, okay, I leave all my creatures back to block. You're going to go, okay, I hope I'm wider than you. Now push through damage.
Yep.
And so this is not really a board wipe as it is. Oh, they might leave like 1 chump blocker back.
In which case, have trample or
no trample. This is one of my least favorite Eldrazi's in the set.
Yes, this is still you could still first pick this and be fine, but this isn't going to necessarily win you the game like Bane of Balaged or Blightherder will. But it's still 8 for a 10/8. That's huge.
Yeah, that's. This is going to be a very early pick. Maybe not first pick, but still very early. It's a very powerful card that's going to be hard to deal with, which kind of sets up how good these Eldrazi really are, because if this is probably one of the weaker ones, then watch out. There's going to be a lot of really strong ones.
Yep, maybe not first pick, but in the top few picks, these Eldrazi cards are just going to get snapped up so quick. They appeal to the Timmy player and all of us, and some of them are pretty spiky as well. Conduit of Ruin is up next. It is a 6-drop for a 5/5. Already, that's fine. The creature type is Eldrazi. It is a rare. When you cast it, you may search your library for a colorless creature card with converted mana cost 7 or greater, shuffle your library and put that card on top of it, and the first creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. So, I think that it's a very good card. You get a tutor pretty much any of the really big Eldrazi. You might have a hard time finding 2 in your draft pool, but this one and one that costs 7 or more, but you can get there. Basically, this lets you play your even bigger card next turn. Even if you're not playing Eldrazi, having the first creature spell you cast each turn cost 2 less to cast is nice. It's a 6-drop, which is very reachable, even without ramp. This is another first pick card.
So this is a rare, so you have to be. It's going to be difficult to find this with another rare, and most of the Eldrazi here are rare and uncommon. This works very well with one particular common Eldrazi we're going to get to later. That costs 8 mana. First creature spell you cast 2 less to cast. You're at least at 6 mana. This is the perfect synergy. Outside of that, you have to be counting on getting some rares or uncommon powerful cards, which you can do.
I think in 3 packs, the likelihood that you'll get at least one uncommon or the common Eldrazi that costs 7 or more is, I think that you can reasonably expect it. You might get totally screwed, in which case all you have is a 6 for a 5/5 that makes the first creature you spell cast each turn cost 2 less, which is still totally fine. But if you get the upside of being able to tutor for your next really strong card, that you just chain this into an even bigger card, then you're going to win, and that's good.
If you pick this early, you're reasonably expected to get some, a powerful common eldrazi that you can cast immediately. If you pick this up late, pack 3, and you don't really have the tools required to make it work, just pass it along. It's not quite worth it.
Yeah, it's sad, but sometimes you just can't draft the big eldrazi.
As much as you may try to force it every draft.
Yep, like me. Okay, next card is Deathless Behemoth. It costs 6. It is a 6/6. That's fair. It's an Eldrazi creature. It's uncommon. It has Vigilance, which is really cool. And you may sacrifice 2 Eldrazi Scions to return Deathless Behemoth from the graveyard to your hand, but only as a sorcery. I think of the Eldrazi, this one, a 6 for a 6 Vigilance is really nice. It has the ability to be recurred from the graveyard, which makes it really, really nice, but it's kind of hard to hit that recursion.
Yeah, I don't really count on the recursion actually happening very much. Definitely not every game at a rate lower than that. Or not every time you cast it, rate lower than that.
But still, 6 colorless for a 6/6 Vigilance goes into any deck, basically.
Yes.
This is a great card, and if you actually manage to be able to revive it after you wipe their board with like a triple block, then congratulations, you get to play another one, and you're totally set.
Yeah, if anybody's played against Skyseer Spider from Origins, you know how hard that was to actually beat. He's kind of sat there, both attacked you and blocked every single turn.
Mm-hmm.
It's really difficult for it to deal with this.
Yeah, the only thing that beats this is bigger Eldrazi.
Yes.
Really.
And then, a couple of the unconditional removal spells.
Yes. And speaking of bigger Eldrazi, next we have the... Oh,
wait,
by the way, yes, how about where to pick this? I would pick this really early.
I would pick this fairly early, too. Not first pick.
Maybe not first pick, although if there was no super clutch removal or there's no good rare in the pack, I would first pick this because it'll go into any deck and it'll perform well there.
I agree with you 100%.
Okay, next we have Desolation Twin. This is one of the more expensive... In fact, I think it's tied for the most expensive Eldrazi.
Well, it depends on how you count certain casting costs.
Yes. This is a Desolation Twin. It costs 10, which is pretty hard to get to. That's significant. It is an Eldrazi creature. It is a rare. It is a 10/10, and when you cast it, not when it enters the battlefield, when you tap the mana and put this on the stack, you put a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token onto the battlefield. So for 10 mana, you are guaranteed to get a 10/10 on the battlefield, and very likely you're getting 20 power and 20 toughness in 2 creatures on the battlefield, and that'll win you the game.
Yeah. It's uncounterable, basically, because you still get a 10/10.
You have to set up for this more than some of the other Eldrazi we've seen, because 10 mana is pretty hard to get to. You're going to be saving those Scions. I don't think I'd play this in the black-green sack deck, because those Scions are being used for other things, but in a deck that's playing Scion producers that isn't trying to sacrifice them, this card is just so good.
Yeah, you need to be able to draft around this in order to make it work.
This is when a Hedron Archive is useful, the 4 for adding 2. You just need to get there, and when you get there, you win. Yep. If you also get the Conduit of Ruin, if you get 2 amazing rare Eldrazi's, this is basically an 8 mana for 20/20 that you get a tutor when you play Conduit, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is a card I first pick and then try to build around it.
Yes.
If I can't build around it, the tools just aren't there, you have to be able to ban it immediately.
Yeah.
Because if you have a mediocre Desolation Twin deck, you're going 0-3.
Yep. Yeah, if you never play it and your whole point of the deck is to play it, then suddenly you're not winning. So that sucks.
Yeah.
You also have to have other ways to win. You cannot afford you're going to have one copy of this card, and you're going to have to draw it, and you're going to have to play it.
Luckily, there are a couple of common Eldrazi's that are pretty strong, too.
Yes.
You can find fatties in whatever color that you end up being, probably green.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
It's a cool card.
You need a couple more Eldrazi's to go along with it also.
And it's 20/20 in two bodies. But I mean, it's just so cool.
Yep.
Next, we have Eldrazi Devastator, and boy, this is going to be devastating to the format, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Because this one's at common, and it's an 8-drop for an 8/9 trample.
Yeah, trample is huge on this one. Huge.
Yeah, yes, the card is huge, trample is huge. This card will win you the game when you play it, pretty much, unless they also have an Eldrazi Devastator, and then they just attack into each other and don't win. Maybe that's why it has 9 toughness. This is a superb card. It's printed at common, meaning there's going to be board players in the draft that have this in their deck, and it's going to be a huge pain in the ass. 8 mana's slightly prohibitive. It's not 6 mana, so you have to get there, but there are plenty of ways to do it, and when you play it, it's a threat that has to be dealt with immediately.
So you need to have ramp to play this card. It's not castable if you just try to play land every turn.
Yeah, this isn't the curve topper in your non-ramping deck. Mm-hmm. This is the payoff for
this
a ramp
is
deck.
Really just perfect if you get something like Desolation Twin, and you need just maybe 1 or 2 more finishers to go along with your ramp strategy.
Yeah, and how does this card perform in multiples? Because if you have one and you see another one, do you take that one?
I would never put more than 2 in my deck. You just don't really need more than 2 8-drop creatures. They're obviously both great, but each one you draw is worse than the next one,
and
worse than the last one.
Sadly, this is replaceable by better, bigger eldrazi. Like, I'd rather play a Desolation Twin over the Devastator. Actually, I don't know, because Devastator is more consistent. You're going to be able to get
Desolation Twin puts 2 10s on the board instead of
right.
99. Yeah, 2 creatures is better than 1. But yeah, this is also just acceptable as a finisher too. Just straight up, even if you don't get one of the big Eldrazi's.
I mean, this is one of the big Eldrazi's.
If you don't get a Desolation Twin or something equivalent.
This is just fantastic.
Yep.
I love this card, and I'm going to probably be drafting a lot of it.
This is going to go pretty early.
It's almost worth first picking. There'll probably be other things you'll first pick, but this is going to go in the first couple picks.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's going to be top tier of the deck.
Make sure it's you, or make sure you pick something that is better than this.
Make sure you can pick a deck that can beat the people playing Eldrazi Devastators, because you're going to go up against them.
Yeah, expect these. Every deck you make, expect Eldrazi Devastators, and you're going to need a way to go around them or to beat them. Always hold on to at least one removal, even if you desperately need to play it. Well, I guess if you desperately need to play it in order not to lose, then you'll play it, but if you can afford to say, I might take 4 damage in the next couple turns, but, it's worth it because they're going to play a Devastator at some point, and I'm going to have to beat it. You need an answer for this card, or you're playing this card, and congratulations, you played it. Yep.
Got it.
Next, we have Endless One. Cost X, it's a 0/0 Eldrazi. It's a rare, and it enters the battlefield with X/1/1 counters on it. This is the definition of vanilla. It is power and toughness equal to however much mana you spent to pay it. Obviously, you're not going to be playing this as a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, blah, blah, blah. You're going to ramp as much mana as you can, and then you're going to slam this down as an 8/8 or a 9/9 or something.
Yeah. So this is just a great card because you don't even need any ramp for this. You can play this turn 5 as a 5/5. It's still a good card. This is going to be efficiently costed however much X is, unless X is 1 or X is 2. Don't cast this for X is 1 or X is 2.
Nope.
But yeah, any power and toughness you reasonably cast this for is going to be a very efficient creature. You don't need to ramp up to a specific number to get this. You can just play it whenever it's the best, whenever the timing is best on the board. Mm-hmm. This is an easy first pick.
Yeah, just hold on to it until you don't have any other playables, and until you absolutely need to play it, and then play it for as big as it can be, or just play it when you need a 5 for 5/5, 6 for 6/6. Those are all good.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily be. I mean, ramp would be nice with this card, but you don't need to play playing with ramp.
First pickable, for sure.
Yeah, definitely first pick.
It's so flexible.
This is easy first pick.
Alright, next we have Gruesome Slaughter. It's a 6-drop. It's a sorcery. It's a rare. And it has the text, until end of turn, colorless creatures you control gain tap. This creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature. This is sort of a board wipe for 6 if you have colorless creatures and they're stronger. This seems more of a win more type card. Because if all your creatures are able to tap to deal their power to creatures and it kills them, that's good. Or you have a bunch of small creatures and you're tapping them to target something bigger.
Yeah, I guess this is for the From Beyond deck where you just have a bunch of Eldrazi Scions who can gang up and beat something. But yeah, this is...
It only does power to creature. I mean, if this did power to player, this would be a broken card.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not broken, but it'd be very good.
Well, yeah, I don't see... You're either already winning when you play this card, or you have a very, very specific board state.
This isn't first pickable.
No.
This is... You pick a couple in, you're going to put it in your colorless Eldrazi deck, but I think most cases, by the time... If you're playing this card and benefiting, you're already winning, and if you're losing, this card doesn't really help, because you're going to have to tap down 3 creatures to beat one of theirs, and then they can get through with their other creatures, or what have you. That said, I do think this is a it's a fairly good card. It'll do something every time you play it if you have the colorless creatures for it.
This is the kind of card that'll beat you more often than you actually win with it.
Yeah, sad. Don't pick this first.
Yeah, this is maybe middle of the pack pick.
Okay, next we have Kozilek's Challenge. Boy, really had a hard time saying that. Kozilek's Channeler. It's a 5-drop. It's a 4/4 Eldrazi. It's common. It has tap, add 2 colorless to your mana pool. This is another ramp card for your big Eldrazi.
I'm really coming around to this card. I didn't like it when I first saw it. I like it a lot more now. I think that 5 is a very reasonable middle step to be ramping up to, and also is behind a 4/4 body, which means that you're not doing nothing when you play it.
Yep, if you can't use the mana, you can use a 4/4 to attack or block.
It's going to defend you while you're ramping up. It'll ramp you up by 2 every turn if you need it.
And you can potentially ramp into this if you're in green. Play it earlier than turn 5, and then suddenly you have so much mana available to you that you're playing really big Eldrazi really before your opponent can deal with them.
Of course, in order to actually play this profitably in your deck, you need even bigger Eldrazi to ramp into.
But this is a common.
Yeah.
When you first pick a Desolation Twin, then you are on the lookout for Kozilek's Channelers for the rest of the
be able to find a copy or 2 in your draft.
You might. I mean, there's some drafts that you just never see a common, and then you feel bad. But there's more than just Kozilek's Channeler out there. So between all the options, you'll find something to help you ramp. Kozilek's Channeler is one of them. Wouldn't first pick it, certainly. I would only pick it if I already had an Eldrazi finisher.
It's just an energy card, purely.
Pick it after your finisher. Don't pick it before and then look for a finisher. Because if you don't have a finisher, then it's a vanilla 5 for a 4/4. It still gives you 2 colorless, but it's just not a great turn 5 play if there's nothing coming afterwards. All right, next we have, I think this was the first card spoiled for the set.
This was in the Clash Pack along with Veteran War Leader.
Ah, yes. This is Oblivion Sower. It's a 6-drop. It's a 5/8 Mythic Eldrazi. When you cast Oblivion Sower, again, this is a cast effect, not an enter the battlefield effect. Cast effects are notably better because Counterspell doesn't stop them from happening. When you cast Oblivion Sower, target opponent exiles the top 4 cards of his or her library. Then you may put any number of land cards that player owns from exile onto the battlefield under your control. This is another payoff card for the Ingest Processor deck. This processes all their lands at once and actually puts them on the battlefield under your control. Can give you significant ramp, also exiles 4 cards.
I'd say this is enough of a payoff at top end of its own. 5/8's really difficult to block profitably.
6 with a 5/8 is great.
The whole land thing, I guess, is not as important to me. I mean, if you get 3 of them over the course of ingesting, then you could, I guess, play another card 2 on the same turn. But 6 mana for a 5/8 is just
fine.
Yeah, and
just
it
dandy.
Fuels more of your processors if you have those.
Yep, just puts 4 into exile. It's also a good-looking card. I almost like this card better than the intro pack or Clash pack.
Yeah, this is better art than there was, I think.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to hurt any artist's feelings. I just like this art more personally. It's cool. It's a cool card. I'm going to first pick it. What about you?
Yeah, I'll first pick it. 6 mana for a 5/8 body, just way too efficient.
Okay, great. Next, we have Ruin Processor. This is another common Eldrazi. This one costs 7 instead of 8, and it's a 7/8 instead of an 8/9. Seems to be Eldrazi cost certain mana, and they are that with 1 more toughness. But, as I was saying, 7 for a 7/8. This is a processor. It is an Eldrazi processor. When you cast Ruin Processor, you may process a card and gain 5 life. This is probably one of the weaker things to ramp into. However, it's still a 7 for a 7/8. Gaining 5 life, maybe it sets you back because you've been setting up the ramp and you took a little bit of damage doing that.
I think you just have a lot better options if you're going for this deck. Now, if you end up doing ramp and your end goal is Ruin Processor, then you're going to lose to the person whose end goal is Eldrazi Devastator or Desolation Twin or an actually good Eldrazi. Vanilla 7/8 for 7 is efficiently costed, but it has no evasion, it has no enter the battlefield. You can't get 5
process for 5
It has no relevant enter the battlefield effect. I don't really want this in my ramp decks.
No, this is kind of like you were building a ramp deck because you were hoping to get an Eldrazi and you didn't, and then this came to you, and now this is your finisher. And it's still 7 for 7/8. Don't be afraid to pick this because it's still good, but this isn't first pickable like the other ones are, and you will take pretty much every colorless Eldrazi over this one.
This is going middle to late in the pack, and if you have started building a ramp deck and you don't have the finishers, you're going to find one of these middle to late and be able to get, I guess, a finisher.
Yep. Next card. Scour from Existence. 7-drop. It's an instant. It's a common. Exile target permanent. Period.
That's a really nice text line.
Yep. That's probably even better than Destroy Target Creature, huh?
I guess it's strictly better.
This costs a lot for what it is.
A lot of mana. I call the 6 mana Destroy Target Creature playable, so it's hard to say, 7 mana Exile Target Permanent not playable.
Yep.
It's a pretty big difference between 7 and 6 mana.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
6 is feasible with lands. 7 is really hard to get to with just lands and limited.
Yeah.
I wouldn't first pick this, that's for sure.
No.
I would maybe have one of in my deck if I knew that I had ramping options, but in most decks, in most non-Eldrazi decks, this is not going to be playable. 7 mana for an answer to anything is cool, but the thing is there's going to be answers to everything just in the form of different cards. Yes, this is just one card that can exile anything, and exile's good, and goes around indestructible, which only one card I believe has, but this is, gets rid of lands. I just don't think 7 is, it's also instant speed, which is cool, but 7... it's too much, man. It's just too much.
Too much. I agree with you. I don't really want to be playing one of these.
All right, next we have Titan's Presence. I do want to be playing this. Also, probably one of my favorite arts in the set. It's just so friggin' cool and atmospheric. It is scary. 3, colorless. It's an instant at uncommon. As an additional cost to cast Titan's Presence, reveal a colorless creature card from your hand. Exile target creature if its power is less than or equal to revealed card's power. So this is basically a 3-mana fight spell, except it comes in your hand. There's a green one that costs a green and 2 colorless that's devoid.
Those have the creatures fight each other. This one just deals damage.
Yes, this is superb. Even if you only have like a 4-drop Eldrazi in your deck that has 4 power, you're still exiling something 4/3 at instant speed. This is really, really good. I think it might end up being standard playable, maybe?
Well,
it's a 3-mana instant that exiles creatures. I don't know.
Yeah, this is a very strong card if you have enough of the payoff cards for it. And like Colin said, payoff cards don't really need to be that big. They can be 4 power creatures, maybe sometimes 3. 4 power is probably the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
You want a number of copies of 4 power creatures, colorless creatures before you put this in your deck.
Then you're paying 3 to go up with this card because you're hitting something that would probably cost more than 3 to play.
This is now something you're taking early because you need to make sure you have the synergy in order to play this.
These will go early, though. I think people will be drafting these pretty highly because it's removal at instant speed, that's colorless, that can go in any deck that has Eldrazi in it, and it exiles creatures.
Then I guess I won't see them because I want to make sure I have the method to cast this before I can actually cast it.
You would pick this early in pack 2 or 3 if you already had something.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I would too. I think this is a good card. I say pick it pretty early. It's going to go. It's going to be a valuable commodity. There's so many colorless creatures that have pretty high power that it will generally hit something.
All right. What's next?
Well, alphabetically, we have Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger.
I've actually never heard that card. Can you explain it to me?
Yes. It costs 10 colorless to play. It is a 10/10. It is a legendary creature. Its creature type is Eldrazi. It is a mythic rare. When you cast Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, exile 2 target permanents, period.
Nice.
So, as we've said, on-cast effects are so much better than enter the battlefield effects. Exiling 2 permanents of your choice is bonkers! It's so good! Anyway, this card also has Indestructible, and whenever Ulamog attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of his or her library.
This kind of gets around the fact that Ulamog doesn't have any
evasion.
It's because that is Ulamog's evasion.
If he attacks, you lose half of your library if you're unlimited.
Ulamog attacks twice, and you draw and you lose.
Yep. Exiles the 2 things that could block it when it comes into play, or the 2 threats against it. Mm-hmm. It's indestructible, meaning it can only be destroyed with... Well, it can't be destroyed. It can only be taken off the field by exile effects.
Yeah, it'll be difficult to lose a game if you play Ulamog successfully.
Yes. And this is the big bad daddy of the set. This is like the villain. This is a 10-drop. You need things to set up for it. But if you open this pack 1, pick 1, you're getting this, and you are crossing your fingers and hoping to whatever higher power you believe in that you are getting ramp cards.
Yeah. And, this is not playable if you don't have the cards to support it, and that's really sad because you'll probably end up playing it anyway because it's such a cool card.
You will play this in a deck with no ramp.
You'll play
because
it.
You want
you'll
to.
Play it. You'll go 1-2, and you'll say, "Oh well, at least I have an Ulamog."
Yep.
And it'll be worth it.
Yep.
So
what do you think, Jacob? First pick?
First pick it.
Okay, me too. First pick. Next. Actually, let's go back. It's so cool. Ulamog looks great.
Great art.
He's, funnily enough, one of the more humanoid-looking Eldrazi, just in the fact that he actually has like a head shape.
Head, a torso, some arms.
His arms aren't like tentacles. You
can see where the eyes would be.
Yeah, cool card. Really cool.
Right.
Congratulations if you open this. I'm jealous. I really want one. I think it's so cool.
I like how it's colorless, so you can see the art behind the text box. And
Yeah, we haven't really mentioned all the art for all the Devoid cards. It's so cool. I think the borders are really cool. I love that these cards are now more, or have a more artistic focus than some of the older cards did. And they get to showcase more of the art, and then that also kind of demonstrates the size of these creatures because you can see more of them. So really, really good stuff, guys and girls and robots and anything that isn't that.
Great stuff.
Great stuff.
Great stuff all around.
Yep. All right. Next, we have Ulamog's Despoiler. So this is the spoiler of that dude we just mentioned.
He despoils Ulamog.
Yep. 6-drop. It's a 5/5 Eldrazi processor at uncommon. As it enters the battlefield, you can process 2 cards. If you do, it enters the battlefield with 4/1/1 counters on it. So if you've been setting it up, this is a 6 for a 9/9.
Yeah. So, I talk about how these big Eldrazi, if they don't have any sort of evasion or enter battlefield effects, maybe they're not as good. 6 mana 9/9 dodges that. That's just so big that I don't care. I'm just going to so be turning to sideways.
Yep. This is what your blue-black ingest processor deck wants. This is uncommon, so you're going to not guaranteed to get one, but you might get one. It's not super unlikely. It would be uncommon to see one, but it's a great card. First pickable.
Yep.
Maybe not actually as desirable as a first pick because you need so much setup with ingesting. But there are plenty of cards that ingest for you.
You can play this card and be either in blue or black. Just make sure you get a couple of exile effects from ingest. You don't need to go full ingest processor in order to make this work. You just need to exile 2 cards over the course of the game. It's obviously better in a full ingest process style, archetype deck, but if you can exile 2 cards by turn 6, this enters as a 9/9.
Yep. And 6 for 9/9. Well, I'd say that's pretty darn efficient. What do you say?
That's efficiently costed creature.
Okay, cool. So, first pick this if you want. You're going to have to really scrap to get all the ingest cards you need to get to it. But at the other Eldrazi, if you're first picking them, you're scrambling to get ramp cards, and I think there's more common ingest and exiling cards than there are ramp cards. So this is probably a safer bet for first pick. And I think it's a really good choice. Even if you don't first pick it, you might be able to get it second or third if someone else passes it to pick a rare. It's a great card, and it's a great payoff for the processing decks. All right, last, we have the Void Winnower. I'm not going to make the can't even joke, even though by saying that just now I did.
Wait, what's the can't even joke? Can you tell it to me?
Nope. It's a 9-drop. It's an 11/9. It's kind of funny. Those are both odd numbers. It's an Eldrazi. It's mythic. Your opponent can't cast spells with even converted mana cost. 0 is even. Your opponent can't block with creatures with even converted mana cost.
It's pretty funny. The reminder text on there is just a mathematical truth.
Yep. This is just you win. You play this card and you win. You just hose half of the cards out of their deck. Well, maybe not half, but on average, probably half of the cards in their deck are no longer playable, and they can't block with them. This is an 11/9. It's going to be swinging for 11 next turn, and the only thing that can block it are creatures with odd converted mana costs. Flavorfully, I have no idea what the fuck this card means.
Have you ever seen a world fall to its knees? Watch and learn on Nixless.
Yeah, the flavor text doesn't really enlighten anything. I guess because the Eldrazi are so asymmetrical. This is like if you're even this screws you up. Funnily enough, Origins had a winnower.
A Guild Leaf winnower.
Yeah, we should probably look up what winnower means, because that winnower hosed creatures with asymmetrical.
That's left as an exercise to the listeners.
Yes.
Google things.
And you know what? If you figure it out, why don't you email us at proshow.netflix.biz@gmail.com, and we will thank you, and we'll give you a shout out on the show in our next episode.
We will never get tired of saying that email address.
No, we won't, because we had it before we started the series. We didn't just accidentally say it and then make the domain in response to that. Okay, Void Winnower is our first pick, isn't it?
You know, it's really random, I think. I'd have to know the set better, know which removal card is actually blanks.
I'm gonna first pick it.
You know, yeah, I first pick it at FNM. What I'm worried about is first picking a Grand Prix, because this is an 9-mana card that doesn't have any entered battlefield effects. It has evasion, but it's random evasion. I don't know. I don't know if I first pick this a Grand Prix. I think that this is just.
Yeah, and a lot of the removal cards have odd costs.
They do. That. I don't have to. I'm not sure how many of them, what the stats are net. I have to look more thoroughly at the set.
Ruinous Path just jumps to mind as a 3 cost.
Yeah. So this has evasion some of the times. Doesn't have evasion other times. I may just prefer the 8/9 Trampler.
Yeah.
At a Grand Prix. At FNM, I'm taking this.
Yes.
I am slamming it. I am playing it.
Mm-hmm.
At Grand Prix, probably pass it.
Yep. But we'll see. We will see.
This is so great. Picks 3 through 4 also. So
mm-hmm.
I'm not saying pass this until it's in the middle of the pack. I'm saying pass this pack 1, pick 1 possibly.
And in a week or two, we'll know how good this card truly is.
Yeah.
If it's really worth first picking, or if there are more mundane options that work better. But as for right now, I think it's really cool. And that is the end of all of our non-land cards.
That is it.
But,
that's all the cards in the set.
But because
that is not all the cards in the set.
It's not all the cards in the set, because we are just marching through this episode. It's going to be a long one. I need to go eat dinner at some point, but whatever. We're going to do the lands because, dear listeners, we love you, and we're not going to have time to finish this set off.
Can we review all the basic lands?
Yes, we're going to review the art for each basic land individually. Just kidding, we're not. Full art lands are really cool, though.
Yes.
Full art lands don't need text, so making them all art is really cool and showcases the artist's skill, which is always high with Magic the Gathering artists. Great job, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And girls. And robots. And anything that isn't that. Let's just jump into this alphabetically. We have Ally Encampment. It is a land. It is a rare. Tap to add a colorless to your mana pool, or tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, spending that mana to only cast an ally spell, or tap 1 colorless and tap and sacrifice Ally Encampment, return target ally you control to its owner's hand. Good card. Not first pickable.
No, this is a card you put in your deck.
Maybe first.
No, this is not first pickable. So this is a card you put in your deck if you maybe have an powerful ally you want to splash, like a veteran war leader.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually probably works in a 2-color ally deck.
Yep. This is
more of a color fixing is so good.
Yeah.
But you have to make sure you have you're in a dedicated ally deck, because this is not good if you're only playing 4 or 5 allies.
Yep. Comes into play untapped. You can tap for mana. Comes into play, so
mm-hmm.
that's good. And then it has the ability to kind of dodge removal for 2 mana, 1, and then tapping this to sack it. You won't be happy doing that, but you will be happier than losing your best ally.
Yeah, this should be making its way around the table. You can find this if you are in the multicolor ally.
I think it'll get picked up pretty early, like pick 4 or 5. Someone's going to be like, all right, I'm going to be in allies. I might as well take this now. I doubt this will ever wheel, is how I feel.
I disagree with that. It's not. It's a.
There's so many allies though, and they need color fixing so bad because allies are in every color that I think this card will be useful. Someone at the table is going to want this card within the first 8 picks.
No.
Do you dare disagree with me?
This is unacceptable. We need to have a long debate over whether we think this will wheel.
Nope.
Anyway, Bloody Cataracts.
Yeah, Ally Encampment, pick it if you want it. I think it'll go pretty early. I think it should go pretty early because color fixing is so important, and having lands that are better than basic lands is always nice. But I think Jacob says pick playables over it and hope it wheels.
Yep.
Okay. Also, just first pick it, pack 2 or 3. Not first pick it. maybe first pick it pack 3.
If you have
a ton of playables, it's better to pick it.
If you have a very strong ally you want to splash 4, you can first pick it.
Okay, next we have Blighted Cataract. This is a land. It is uncommon. You tap to add colors to your mana pool, or you tap 5 colorless, 1 blue, tap, sacrifice Blighted Cataract to draw 2 cards. Great. Comes into play untapped. You can tap it for mana this turn. It comes into play. And then late in the game, if you're kind of running out of gas, you can tap. I guess you have to have 7 lands total or 7 mana available total to do this, and you tap it, sacrifice to draw 2 cards at instant speed. That's cool.
You only have to have 6. Oh yeah, you have to have
6 plus this land.
So yeah, lands that are spells are great. Most
even if this never gets cracked for 2 cards, it's still a land that comes into play.
If you only have a couple of these in your 1 or 2 of these in your limited deck, it shouldn't have a huge impact on reliably hitting your colors, and you don't need all 7. You don't need all 7 of your lands, most likely.
I wouldn't pick this too highly because it doesn't have a huge power level. The skill floor is so low on, I'd say 9 times out of 10, all this is doing is adding a colors to your mana pool.
Yeah, so I would pick this the same area. I picked the Foundry of the Consoles from Origins, and I definitely picked that top 5 to 7 cards.
All right. So you don't think this will ever wheel?
No, it's not.
Shouldn't expect it to wheel. Okay. Yeah, Blighted Cataract, pretty good. Pick it before it wheels, but don't first pick it because it doesn't have a high enough power level.
No.
It's just a nice card. Blighted Fen. It's another uncommon land. This is part of the Blighted set. There's a cycle of 5. This is Blighted Fen. You tap to add 1 colorless to your mana pool, or you tap 4 colorless and a black, and then tap and sacrifice Blighted Fen to just target opponent sacrifices a creature. This is a little weaker. I think making an opponent sacrifice a creature is a good way to get around things like Indestructible. However, by turn 6, basically, that you're using this, if you are using it, they probably have something they wouldn't mind sacrificing.
Worst case scenario is they sacrifice an eldrazi sign, or they say fine. So something I should mention is that the reason why I value these spell lands so highly is that you have to really think of them in terms of replacement level. If you're not playing a Blighted Fen, you're playing a Plains. And so...
You mean a swamp?
I guess you're playing a swamp.
Gotcha!
Point has been just thoroughly destroyed.
Yes.
Now, so...
You're replacing a land that does nothing.
Yes. With a land that actually has a pretty strong effect. Target opponent sacrifice a creature. This is worth an entire... This has been printed as an entire card in some sets.
Mm-hmm. Less, but this is on a land.
So... When you're picking a 4-drop, and this is the example I go to is something like Summit Prowler. You're picking a Summit Prowler.
It's a 4/3. Yeah.
4/3, a vanilla 4/3 for 4 mana. You're saying how far above Summit Prowler how far above replacement level is Summit Prowler? If I don't take this now and take something else, eventually I need another 4-drop. How late can I get a 4-drop, and how good is that 4-drop compared to Summit Prowler? And so in something like, either Fate Cons or Dragon's Fate, where Summit Prowler was in the set, Alesha's Vanguard was the replacement level 4-drop. It's a 4-mana 3/3 that you can dash in for 3. And that was it. And Summit Prowler is not that much higher than Alesha's Vanguard.
Alright, now tie this back to Blighted Fen.
So, Blighted Fen, its replacement level is Swamp. The difference between Blighted Fen and basic Swamp is massive. This is the difference between a quality uncommon and okay common. This is going to make the average card quality above replacement level of your deck much, much higher than taking like a good common creature, like a Summer Prowler. So I think when you're taking something like this whole blighted set, you have to evaluate this as how much do I like this above just taking basic land, and I love taking these instead of basic land. They're great. So that's why I value these in top 5 cards. Yeah,
and this is instant speed. It's always got the threat there, so your opponent has to play around it, knowing that you could tap and crack the Blighted Fen to make them sacrifice a creature. So if they're attacking with 2 things, you can block the weaker things and leave up the most valuable thing, and then make them sacrifice it. So this card is good. So you think first couple picks?
I think this is going into top 5.
Top 5. All right. Blighted Gorge. It's the red version, although they all tap for colorless. This is a land. It's uncommon. You tap to add 1. You tap 4 colorless or red, and then tap and sacrifice Blighted Gorge. It deals 2 damage to target creature or player. This is a Same deal, just an expensive
Yes.
shock.
It's a spell land. It's overcosted, but it's a land, and that's going to tap for mana most of the time, and then finally sacrifice so you don't need it.
So 5 through 7. Actually, this one, I feel like the power level on this one's a little lower.
It is a little bit lower than the other two, so maybe slightly lower, but also red doesn't need to keep its lands around as much.
Yes, that's true. Okay, so say 4 through 7, 4 through 8.
Yeah.
Maybe this one will be the one that wheels.
Well, the one we're about to cover is definitely going to be one that wheels.
Oh, geez. Yes, this is Blighted Steppe. It's a land, it's uncommon, you tap to add a colorless, you tap 3 colorless and a white, tap, sack it, you gain 2 life for each creature you control. This is like an anti-aggro card, but you're losing a land at 5 lands. It's not great.
I would consider this below replacement level, and replacement level is basic land. So don't put this in your deck. Put a basic land in instead. They're free, they're in the draft box.
Yep. So let that one sit. I wouldn't pick this very highly either. Maybe in the life gain deck? No. It isn't even multiple instances of life gain, it's just one big life gain for however many creatures. Next we have Blighted Woodland. It's land, common, tap to have colorless, tap 3 colorless and a green to tap, sack Blighted Woodland. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them on the battlefield, tap and shuffle your library. This is the money Blighted card as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, this is amazing.
This ramps 2 cards for the price of 1. It's effectively a 5-drop for that, but it's at instant speed, and you're choosing 2 basic land cards, so you get any fixing you need. It's like a double Evolving Wilds, and something to be considered, you can hit 2 landfall triggers with this card.
Oh yeah, so 3 total throughout the entire turn, 4 if you're playing Evolving Wilds, but only that.
Yeah, this can cause some serious good things to happen in a landfall deck. This is a great card. This is going to go in one of the first couple picks.
Landfall, this is also ramped. This
Also
is
eldrazi, pretty much every deck, well, not every deck, but any deck that's running green wants this.
I think every deck that runs green would want this.
It helps you hit Converge. Great. It's awesome, and it's uncommon, so you'll probably see it. Well,
yeah, this is going in top 3, I guess.
Okay, next we have a cycle of dual lands. These are both basic land types, meaning that they can be fetched for basic lands, which is cool.
Not in this on this set.
Well, with Evolving Wilds.
Evolving
Wilds fetches for basic lands.
Oh yes, it has to fetch for a basic land card, not for basic land types. So I think the text has to say basic land dash forest, as you can see.
Let's see these Zendikar expeditions to see if they also say
the Zendikar expeditions. The fetch lands will let you fetch for a basic land type. Evolving Wilds only fetches for a basic land.
Alright. Well, that means they aren't as good to be fetched, so I was,
They're standard applications.
However, they're rare, they're dual lands, they're mountains and forests, or, whatever.
Let's talk about the cycle as a whole, because you talk about every individual one.
Each individual one, they come into play tapped unless you already have 2 lands on the battlefield. I think they're 2 basic lands. Wait, can you scroll up a second?
Yeah, they're 2 basic lands.
Yeah.
They don't even have the Zendikar expeditions printed on this page.
Alright, we just kind of
sorry.
lifting the curtain a little bit to show our process here. Okay, so Canopy Vista, Cinderglade, there's probably more. This is all ranked alphabetically, so they're not actually all together. But you tap to add whatever color of forest you're playing, mountain or forest. They enter the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. So they're slow, but they're mana fixing. You pick them if they're in your colors, basically. It's not the most exciting rare to open in a pack. In fact, it's probably one of the least exciting ones.
Yep. These are not first pickable.
Nope.
They are something that's going to be nice late in the pack, or middle of the pack if you are in those colors or want to splash one of those colors. But they're rare, so don't count on it. Dude, don't count on these showing up ever in a draft.
Yeah.
It's nice if you see them and you want them. Maybe you only need 1 or 2 drafters the entire table who wants any particular dual land. Yeah. Nice if it's you. And
they're okay. They're okay.
Evolving Wilds.
This card's been printed in pretty much every set. That's not true, but a card like it gets printed fairly often. It's a land. It's common. You tap and sacrifice it. Search your library for a basic land card and put it on the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle your library. The reason why this card is even better in Battle for Zendikar, I think we've talked about this a couple times, but not only is it mana fixing, but it's also a landfall trigger.
It's
at
double
instant
landfall.
speed.
Yeah.
It's 2 landfalls on your turn, or it's a landfall on their turn.
Yeah, this is going to be a staple of the landfall deck. They're going to want as many of these as they can possibly run.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you not have a single landfall person, they're
still good in your deck.
They're still good.
They're fixing.
If you're only running 2 colors, they're okay. They're not great. You're probably going to be taking these lower than other people at the table. Take them.
If you're in 2 colors and you can get one of these because someone who wants landfall triggers has passed it to you really late, then it's fine because it's basically you play 1 less land and still have the same amount of fixing.
You do get to thin your deck of 1 land.
Of 1 out of 40 is not significant.
So the smallest advantages, man, they add up.
Yep. This is a great card. It's probably going to go in the first couple picks just because landfall is such a big thing in this set.
Maybe
you don't think so?
Yeah, maybe first third of the pack. Not always taking these picks 1 through 3.
Yeah, they probably won't wheel. If they do, that means the general power level on all the packs is crazy high. They're less likely to be picked early in pack 1, but pack 2 and pack 3, these are going to go a lot faster because pack 1 people are just taking all the best playables they can to hopefully start sussing out what their deck's going to do.
And pack 2 and 3, some people are saying, "Oh, I have all these cards that are of different colors. I want to play them all. Give me all the evolving wilds you can give me."
Yep.
Hopefully that's not you, because that's not a good strategy to go down.
There is another pro player, Peter.
Oh, he's a tournament winner.
Yeah, he loves Evolving Wilds. He might end up being a guest on this show eventually, and if we ever talk about Evolving Wilds, I've seen this man first pick an Evolving Wilds because he likes them so much.
Yeah, we don't recommend doing that.
No, but you could, but you probably shouldn't.
You should.
Okay, next we have Fertile Thicket. This is a land. It's a common. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you may. This is the spell land. When you think of spell lands, enter the battlefield effect. When Fertile Thicket enters the battlefield, you may look at the top 5 cards for your library. If you do, reveal up to 1 basic land card from among them. Put that card on the top of your library and the rest on the bottom in any order. And it taps to add green to your mana pool.
This is not good.
It kind of makes you have a dead draw. I mean,
Unless
in Battle for Zendikar, lands aren't really dead draws because of landfall triggers, but for some decks they still are. You wouldn't be playing this outside of like a landfall deck or a converge deck where you're trying to pick one color that you don't have yet already.
Yeah, so I think that this card is going to be... You're going to not choose not to have the trigger more often than not. And it enters the battlefield tapped, which means you can't use it immediately. I'd personally rather run a forest.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you have this in your opening hand with 2 lands, it's keepable because you can play this and make sure you hit land drop on the drop. So it isn't as bad as we might have just made it seem, but it's certainly not exciting, and there are probably better lands. I don't know if a forest is technically a better land than this one.
I think, I'm still valuing forest higher.
All right. So don't pick this one early. There's better lands and there's better spells.
Colin's outlined a scenario where it's better than forest. You think that scenario is going to come up often enough? Go ahead.
Yep. We've got a bunch of cool full art lands.
Yeah, I love the full art lands.
Okay, next we have Looming Spires. This is the red spell land. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gets +1/+1 against first strike until end of turn, and you add 1 red to your mana pool. This is fine.
Yep, it's pretty close to unblockable.
It's unexciting, but what it does is it just puts 1 power, probably going straight through to the face of your opponent because they don't want to lose a creature for free, because you can't trade with a first strike creature unless you have a first strike creature.
This is totally worth a 1 mana effect that doesn't cost a card.
Yep, it's basically just paying 1 mana.
I'm very happy to have these in my deck.
Yep.
Probably not
a
lot
high
of them.
pick. This is like you have your red-white ally deck. You've gotten a lot of playables. It's pack 2, it's pack 3. Now you can start picking up things like Looming Spires to just give you a little extra edge.
I think early, this is actually a pretty powerful effect for just basic land. Like this is very, very high above replacement level. To go back to that, so I'd probably be picking these pretty early. I just want to make sure I don't get too many because you don't want to. You don't want to impact your mana.
I would still take any relevant creature over this because giving +1/+1 to mediocre creatures is worse than just having good creatures and not being able to give them +1/+1 with the land. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't want to be taking replacement level creatures over this, definitely. If it's a top quality creature, then I'd take it over this.
Yeah, this is like a pick 5, pick 6 type land.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay, moving on. Lumbering Falls. It's a land, it's a rare. It enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap to add green or blue to your mana pool. Unlike the other dual lands, this one doesn't have the basic land types, but it does have an ability where you tap 2 colorless, a green and a blue, and Lumbering Falls becomes a 3/3 green and blue elemental creature with hexproof until end of turn. It's still a land. This is really good.
Yep, manlands are great.
Manlands are great because they're lands and not creatures, and thus can avoid a lot of creature hate.
This fixes for colors. This becomes a creature later in the game. This has hexproof, so it's harder to kill on after you become a creature.
Yep. It's blue-green, which is probably its biggest drawback.
Yeah, I don't want...
But
I guess you can't really use it to fix for a... It's for a blue-green deck because you also need
other
blue and green
colors
to activate it. But yeah, this is a very good card if you're in blue-green.
And it's hexproof, so unlike other lands that can be destroyed when they're creatures, this one can't, really, because there's no instant speed board wipes, really. And you can't target it with Stasis Snare. I think, this is just the safest manland out there, because it turns into a hexproof creature.
And there's not very much instant speed removal in the set in general that can really kill it.
Alright, next we have, picking. Would we pick that first? Pick it high?
No, just because it's in blue-green. I pick it high.
Yeah. Okay. If you get past it and it's pick 2 or 3, you should take it, but it's not your first pick.
It could be money drafted. We're going to see how prices work out, but I'm sure it's going to be played in older formats.
Yep. Mortuary Mire. This is a land. It's a common. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you may put target creature card from a graveyard to the top of your library. Tap to add a black. This is fine.
Yeah, this is...
It's less exciting because you need a creature in your graveyard to make it work, and you have to draw it next turn.
It has to be a creature you actually want to draw, too. If you play this and put a 2/2 on top of your library, that's bad.
So, would you put this at replacement level or under replacement
I'd say
level?
it's very slightly above replacement level. Not really high enough for me to want to take as early as the other spell lands.
Having one in your deck's fine, but don't pick this over other things, really.
Yeah, this would be a middle to late pack pick.
This is something you try and wheel, basically. Okay, next we have more beautiful lands, and we have Prairie Stream, which that's just the white-blue
here's some
land. Okay, here's a land. Sanctum of Ugin. It's not a legendary, despite being a very specific place. Sanctum of Ugin is a land. It's rare. Tap to add 1 colorless to your mana pool. And whenever you cast a colorless spell with converted mana cost 7 or greater, which there aren't many of, you may sacrifice Sanctum of Ugin. If you do, search your library for a colorless creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. So basically, if you ramp up and play something really big, you get something else really big to play too.
Yeah, if you have played a big eldrazi, then you also get to play a big eldrazi next turn. And that's not nearly as good as the first big eldrazi.
Mm-hmm. It's a cute card. It's definitely not first pickable.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's first pack pickable. But if you somehow have 2 huge eldrazi, then drafting this isn't bad.
This is I think it's
tutor effects aren't bad.
Slightly below replacement level.
But also you have to sacrifice it, so there goes one of your
there goes one of your lands. You can't. It doesn't produce colored mana.
You get to search for any colorless creature card, though. It doesn't have to be 7 or greater mana cost.
I would hope that if you cast a big eldrazi, you are very far ahead in the game and you don't need another one. We'll see if that's true. If that's not true in a set, you need backup, then play this card by all means.
Yeah. Alright, next we have Sandstone Bridge. It is a land, it is a common, it enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gets +1/+1 and gains vigilance until end of turn, and you can tap to add white to your mana pool. This is very same to Looming Peaks or the red version of it.
This is worse than a red version, I'd say.
Because it doesn't give first strike, which makes it kind of a win combat. Vigilance is okay, because it's more defensive. You can attack and then still have blockers up later.
+1/+1 is still relevant. I decided that's why I take it still in the first half of the pack.
Yep, still better than Plains. Still can push through more damage for 1. Basically, if you think of this as a combat trick that costs a sorcery speed combat trick that costs 1 that gives something +1/+1 vigilance, that's not great. But the fact that this is a land and then continues to tap for white mana turn after turn does make it good.
Doesn't even cost a card to do that.
Yep,
which is even better.
Shambling Vent is our next card. It is a land. It is rare. It enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap to add a white or a black mana to your mana pool, and you may tap 1 colorless, 1 white, 1 black for a total of 3 to turn Shambling Vent into a 2/3 white and black elemental creature with lifelink until end of turn. It is still a land. This is the better of the 2-man lands in limited. I don't know how they'll both fare in other formats. This, starting on turn 4, basically, because you don't want it to be tapped out, can become a 2/3 lifelinker anytime you want it to be.
Yeah, and it's really difficult for your opponent to interact with this card at instant speed. And they can't actually interact with the sorcery speed because then it's no longer a creature. Yeah, this is very close to first pickable. White-black is an archetype I like a lot more than green-blue, even though I don't really like white-black all that much.
It does support the life gain mechanism, too, with lifelink.
It has lifelink. Yeah, and this is also something you don't want to put in your trade binder. So that helps out when you're drafting an F&M. At a Grand Prix, I'm probably letting this go until turn 5, pick 4 to 5, 6, something in that range. But it's still a very, very good card.
It's so good. You wouldn't even feel bad first picking this because mana fixing is a little harder to come by and a little more important in this set than other sets. I think it's not as hard to come by as other sets, but it's definitely more important than other sets. Colors matter, Converge matters. Having a wider variety of eldrazi to play matters because some of them are super good, but you have to splash for them because you generally want a 2-color base. This is a good card. First pick it if you want, or don't because the power level may not be high enough, but it is so much better than playing another type of land.
This is massively above replacement level. We're
Yes.
talking about those. Yeah, I just rephrase it that way. This is definitely top 3 picks for me.
Yep. All right, next we have Shrine of the Forsaken Gods. It is a rare land. Tap to add 1 colorless to your mana pool, or tap to add 2 colorless to your mana pool, but only spend that mana to cast colorless spells and activate that ability only if you control 7 or more lands. This is okay. I
don't want this. I think that if you're already 7 lands, you don't need the extra ramp. You're already at where you want to be. And before that, that's just a strictly below replacement level land. I don't want this in my deck.
I would pick this not highly. I would still pick it if I was having the big Eldrazi's in my deck. I don't think it's a bad thing that it has upside conditionally.
Well, it has downside, and then the downside is negated by an upside. And you have to decide if that upside is bigger than downside or not. I think it's the downside is worse than the upside.
All right, Jacob says don't pick it. I say pick it if you want. If you have big things,
you can pick it if you want to. I'm not going to disagree with that.
Yep. Next, we have Skyline Cascade. It is a common land. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, tap target creature opponent controls, and that doesn't untap during its controller's next upset.
You don't actually tap.
Oh, no. You do not tap. Okay, I'm going to restart here. Forget everything I just said. Skyline Cascade is a common land. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, target creature and opponent controls does not untap during its controller's next untap step. This one's okay because you have to be attacked for it to be better, but chances are if you're playing a game of Magic the Gathering, things are attacking you at some point. And this is a nice, surprising card that doesn't cost much. In fact, it's free, and it will make sure that the thing that had the ability to attack you last turn, which means it'll probably attack you next turn, can attack you next turn. So this just buys you time, and you're playing a land. It doesn't hurt you to do that, and good for you.
Yeah, this is another very, very close to replacement level land, I think. I would value it about as highly as I would the black version of this, where you put a creature on top of your library from your graveyard. This is just predicate. Your opponent has to have things turn sideways, and even when they are, they turn sideways for one more turn. This is just okay.
I think it's okay. I think it's a lot better in a controlling type deck than a converging type deck. If you're looking at what blue does, I think it's okay.
This is a tempo play, I think.
I would still pick it over. I'd pick it mid of the pack, maybe.
Yeah, mid to late, I would say.
Okay. Next, we have Spawning Bed. Spawning Bed is an uncommon land. You can tap to add a colorless to your mana pool, and you can tap 6 colorless and tap and sacrifice Spawning Bed, so that's 7 total mana to work with. You put 3 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature tokens onto the battlefield.
Yep,
so
this is great.
This is a great card. You'll be so happy to pick it. You'll pick it pretty early. It goes in any deck, and making 3 1/1s that help you ramp is never bad.
Oh yeah, this is very far above replacement level. This is top 5 pick easily. Maybe depends on how weak the pack is. You could pick this top 3. This is going to go in every single deck, no matter what.
Yep. Super aggro deck might not want it as much, but the thing is, some aggro decks don't always work out perfectly. Sometimes you might be drawn out into really late and then having something to do with your mana.
Yeah, sometimes you want to put 3 creatures on the board at instant speed.
Yeah.
And
That's all cards. Wow. Okay. That's Battle for Zendikar.
I like it. I like Battle for Zendikar.
I really like it. I think the flavor is amazing. I think there's so many cool archetypes. Some of them are more deep than others. Some of them complement each other. Some of them don't. Eldrazi versus allies. You really can feel the tension in the cards. The art is so gruesome sometimes. It really feels kind of hopeless, even though we kind of know from the cards that things work out okay. Ulamog gets imprisoned, but Emrakul and Kozilek are still off.
We have a whole other set happening, and something's going to happen during that set. So.
Yeah. There's some really high power level cards here. There's some cards that are going to probably end up in multiple formats. This is post-rotation. Theros is gone. Magic 15 is gone. These are the cards we're going to be seeing in Standard, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot of them in Standard.
Yeah, I mean, we're pros. I'm less confident in my ability to set Standard post-rotation.
A lot of experimentation is going to need to take place before things settle down.
This is going to be a different standard than the Theros Con standard. And I think that once people figure out how much different it's going to be, we're going to see some very strong standard decks. But you can't just copy and paste your decks from Theros Cons. It's going to be a completely different metagame. Bow Blade and Lightning Strike are rotated out, which means that your early creatures that don't necessarily have an impact on the board are going to be much, much better.
Whoa. This is a limited set review.
Okay.
We're getting way too deep into Standard and being so insightful and so correct, but
Battle for Zendikar is looking like a very fun limited set.
Yeah,
and coming from Magic Origins.
It'll be so fun to have an archetype of allies and you're playing against the Eldrazi deck. It's flavorful, and the idea is to win before they get the big Eldrazi's out, and when the gameplay matches the flavor of the set, that is perfect design.
This set is very synergistic in nature.
Mm-hmm.
You are not just throwing together the best cards in your deck and seeing if they work out. You are specifically crafting an archetype. Some cards are great in some decks and horrible in other ones. This is a great change coming from Magic Origins,
yes.
Personally.
Where Origins is just play your 2-drop, play your 3-drop, and win by then.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how this works out. Are things going to be super fast? Are things going to be super grindy? We'll just have to see. It looks like both are supported pretty well in this set.
Yeah. I'm excited to go to my pre-release.
As am I. I haven't signed up yet, so I hope there's a spot for me. But hey, if you are in... Well, should we say where we are? Is that weird?
We're in Seattle.
Seattle.
The local game shop we're going to in particular, or keep a secret. I don't want it to be mobbed by our adoring fans, but...
Yeah, we have way too many fans at this point to go in public without being recognized. But you know what? We love you guys, and girls, and robots, and anything that isn't those. And we're just so happy that you chose to listen to this, and we hope you learned something, because I know I sure did, going through these.
I learned something, too.
And I think if you listen to these, and you took 80% of what we said into heart, I think you're going to be more successful at drafting than you would have if you hadn't, or if you listened to any other reputable podcast with more seasoned professionals. I think you'll probably do better than if you listen to us. But you know what? We're an alternative. We're independent. We're not being paid by Wizards of the Coast to do this. In fact, we weren't getting paid at all. In fact, I'm really hungry right now because I didn't eat for 4 hours because I've been doing this for you guys and girls and robots and anything else.
I'm only doing this for robots.
Yeah.
If you are not a robot, please turn off the computer right now.
Actually, if you're anything, turn off the computer right now because you won't need it on anymore because you have reached the end.
We are done.
Of the Pro Show with Colin and Jacob.
That was everything you need to know about Battle for Zendikar. It's over.
It's over.
You are an expert.
We're not doing any follow-up videos on this, except we might, except we probably won't.
If we are, then you'll be very excited.
Yeah, if we get more than 20 views and people give us positive feedback, we might do this more, although it was just pretty fun doing this, if not a huge waste of time.
Like, comment, subscribe. Validate our massive time sink.
Thank you. Like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I'm Colin.
And I'm Jacob.
And we're the pros. Goodbye.